welcome to the Zelda Informer podcast. I am your host, Alfred Tabax, joined as always by the amazing and wonderful and mysterious Mr. Nathaniel Rumpfeljans.
Hey everyone, feels good to be back. Hopefully this time on the video version, both our
Yeah,
videos are working. That would be a
for
miracle.
now, just don't jinx it.
Yeah, right.
But right now everything's working fine. Um, and so we're good for now. We were gonna do the podcast Friday, but Nate had stayed up for 2 days pretty much straight doing the coverage for the
Oh
Switch event,
gosh.
and so he needed sleep. And I thought I was gonna be out of town, so we just chalked it up to today. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, and so we didn't really get to any fan topics if we had any, and we will probably have to push those to next week if we had any. I haven't checked because we've got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Um, First off, though, this is the Zelda Informer podcast, so obviously we're going to want to talk about Zelda Informer, and we've been getting a lot of information from people analyzing the Zelda trailer since it came out. I think not 2 days ago, about a week ago. Um, yeah, about a week ago today or yesterday or tomorrow. And so we're getting a bunch of different things, a bunch of little small tidbits, and we've reported on a lot of it. Um, but one of the things that I found really interesting, and that some of my friends that aren't Zelda fans, or people that play Zelda a lot, they like the game, have found interesting, is that compared to Skyrim, the map of Breath of the Wild is huge, and Skyrim's map is already giant. And we were told this a while back that Breath of the Wild had a map comparable to Skyrim. We didn't think it was this big. Um, and so that's one of the things that we've seen is the projected size of the world based on information from demos and maps shown for the game. But we've also been getting smaller tidbits of information, like returning characters, like in the trailer we saw the Gorons, Zoras, what I can only assume were the Gerudo, and we've also seen like returning enemies like Choo-Choos and Bokoblins, obviously. But Nate, let's talk about some of the things that you've since we did the ZI Reacts last Friday. A bit more information has come out since then. So let's talk about some of your favorite things that we've learned since then. Just whatever you really liked so far.
Well, I like the comment that Reggie Fils-Aimé said about the game. And obviously he's PRing it up like crazy. Cause like at the end of what I'm about to say, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy it on Switch." He's not buying anything for starters. You don't get to where he is in Nintendo and have to pay for things from Nintendo. But I mean, the funny thing is, like, they mentioned last week during the Nintendo Trio segment, they were like, "Yeah, the Master Edition, like staff members can't like. There's no inside track to it. They have to buy it like everybody else, unless you're Reggie."
Yeah, unless you're
So
the
like,
president.
yeah. So I mean, it's not a perk of being part of Nintendo. You don't get an inside track. I mean, they do have a store inside Redmond, but they would have to go to that store, and there's probably be limited quantities if they had any at that store. Maybe they have to fight with normal us normies out here with consumers. But no, one comment he said because he was asked by GameSpot directly, because GameSpot essentially said that they didn't notice a lot of differences between the Wii U and the Switch version of the game, and so they asked Reggie, are there any differences? And we have the official list of differences or whatever, which maybe we'll get
Hmm.
into. Uh, but he said that on Switch the game feels more fluid, and the reason that it feels more fluid isn't necessarily because of the frame rate, although it might be better. You could assume it's better,
Hmm.
as in less dips compared to the Wii U version. We don't know that for sure because we haven't seen a new build of the Wii U version in ages. But what we do know, at least according to Reggie, is that there is apparently less poppin' in the game. Which it was kind of apparent if you watch the footage, but again, there's also that rumor out there that it was actually just the Wii U version. It wasn't the real Switch version. Um, so take that for what you will. All I know is that less poppin' to me excites me immensely because it's the number one thing I hate in mostly open world games from last generation is that
Hmm.
the draw distances were usually so low on consoles that you would see things pop in all the time. And for people who there's been some people that said they don't know what pop-in even is. Uh, it's essentially things popping in on your screen right in front of you because the game hasn't loaded that asset yet.
I think the biggest perpetrator of that could be Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like if you've
Yes.
played that game, you'll see, depending on how fast you're moving through the world, especially if you're in one of the mechs, you can see things literally come into being right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not a problem. It just kind of breaks you away from the game.
Yeah.
And it takes you out of the
Yeah.
world
It
momentarily.
gets rid of the immersion.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something that excites me. The Switch version is better than that. Now, if you go back and you watch the footage, all the direct feed footage, it definitely looks like there's a heck of a lot less popping. Hardly even noticeable unless you're really, really scrunching to look for it way in the background, which the whole game world's not going to be loaded at once, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible. But the key thing is to load it, at a certain distance where you're not going to notice it while you're playing. And people said, at least, I shouldn't say people, just myself, just looking at the footage, the only time I really noticed pop in, which may go credit to Reggie, that while, normal gameplay, you're not really going to see it, is when they were on the paraglider and they were coming down off of the Great Plateau into what, the new area with the horses and everything. Um, you could see a little bit of pop in on the paraglider. But again, that's, I guess expected.
Hmm.
You're moving faster. You're moving over a larger amount of land really quickly. Um, but if that's the only time we see poppin is moving over expanses of land with the paraglider, which obviously the paraglider is a big item in the game,
Hmm.
I'm okay with that because a majority of my gameplay is not going to be with the paraglider. It's
Well,
just
and
going to be
also
brief
like consider it that
moments.
way. A lot of people were saying, or a lot of people that I've talked to have said, well, there's nothing like that in Skyrim or The Witcher. It's like because you're not flying over a giant, immense world where it's trying to render everything at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
Skyrim. Outside of PC, on consoles, Skyrim was only really like loading like 20 feet in front of you.
yeah, that
Um,
I've never had that problem 'cause
yeah,
PC, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, on PC, it really doesn't matter. So
yeah. Well, everything's gonna run better on a
yeah,
PC
it's all dependent
inherently,
on your
anyways.
hardware. Like I have beefy
Yeah,
hardware, so like I can put draw distances pretty much at max in every game, and pop in
yeah.
is not a thing.
And so it's kind of an unfair comparison, especially when you compare a PC to any console.
Yes.
So take this uh, lack of pop-in thing as a step in the right direction. The fact that the Switch can process this fast enough to where you don't see the things being rendered in,
Yes.
and you can see things in the background and all that fun
Yep.
stuff.
And I guess that's what excites me the most because there was a lot of things they talked about like in the and really odd thing is apparently the sound quality is better on the Switch, and they mean like even the fine details like the sound of hooves hitting the ground, the sound of the wind. It's like that's a really weird thing to have better on the Switch than the Wii U, um, because it has the same audio output 5.1
Yeah.
so through HDMI. So it's really interesting that for some reason the Switch has better audio files. Um, I'd be really curious for someone to actually ask the dev team why that's the case. I don't know if we're ever going to find out. Um, but to me, it's the gameplay sections that matter the most to me. So having less pop in really affects gameplay. Having less frame rate drops really affects your experience in the game and not taking you out of it. Um, and obviously the whole you could take it with you everywhere thing. That's always really cool.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I don't have to pause. Just come with me. Well, maybe depends on what I'm doing in there. But
Okay.
okay, all right.
Um, so a little bit more. This is gonna be a spoiler warning, so I'm saying
Oh
this
boy.
right now that if you don't want this to be spoiled, don't don't listen to this part. Skip over it. Um, One of the things that we finally have is backstory for the game. We know a little bit of backstory under what's happened before Breath of the Wild, based off of a translation of a tapestry containing the Hylian Chica legend done by Zeltic, who published his findings in a video. So it says Hylian's past stories of a destined time long past where multiple races lived and worked together in harmony. The Sheikah tribe's blue aura breathed through the land, and this mutual prosperity continued until a cataclysmic disaster occurred. The hero and the princess attempted in vain to seal the tear, which became known as the Calamity Ganon. Divine beasts awoke from four directions and deployed a mechanical army, which made the king and his people fearful. They fractured Ganon's power and sealed him, but the Sheikah were banished from the land ever since. And so, to me, when I'm reading that, that still doesn't say a lot because it's a lot of things that don't seem connected.
It's
Like,
it's interesting, um, because it almost contradicts itself, right? At the
yeah,
beginning, it's like this blue light or whatever that is part of the Sheikah helped with prosperity and balance, and then suddenly, Calamity Ganon was doing his thing, whatever, and at the end of it, after Zelda and Link collectively failed to stop him, the Sheikah were banished, and there's no explanation in there for
as to why.
like the Sheikah were part of the solution. So how did they become part of the problem?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm also. This is probably just wishful thinking, but I'm really curious as to what they say about the divine beasts awaking from four directions.
oh, that's
Um,
pretty obvious what that means to me.
what does that mean to you?
So on the tapestry, they have those four things, those four beasts, and we saw
Hmm.
three of them in the trailer.
Yeah.
The only one we didn't see was the mechanical elephant, which you presume comes, it comes from the southeast corner, somewhere down there. So if you look at the tapestry, it kind of has the Calamity Ganon stuff in the middle, which I guess the middle, if you look at the map, the middle basically is where Calamity Ganon is captured in the whole world map. So the four sections in the four corners are going to be probably where the mechanical beasts are from. And through those mechanical beasts, he was able to summon like those mechanical beasts army, which is the Guardians.
Hmm.
And that's what he used to destroy everything. And it seemed what seems weird is the backstory seems to suggest somehow after Link and Zelda failed, they were able to harness the powers from those four beasts to seal Calamity Ganon. But
Was it
when we see
was it
those,
them that sealed it though, or
yeah,
was
that
it
I don't know. I
the
don't know what
Sheikah?
happened. That's the whole unexplained part of the backstory. Like
Yeah.
what? Okay, we know those four beasts had something to do with him being sealed, but yet when we see it in the footage, those four beasts are clearly under his influence because they have the reddish glow instead of the blue.
Hmm.
They might even be the dungeons for all we know. And when you're trying to save them or turn them like it would seem to me if their power is what's holding Calamity Ganon in, wouldn't saving them take that power away from those pillars and release him? It almost seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure what's going on. And obviously the idea is that Calamity Ganon can't stay sealed forever. I mean that's the big
Hmm.
he can't. You need to defeat him somehow. Um, and that's where like the backstory just opens up all these questions. And you try to look at that backstory, you try to look at the cutscenes in the trailer that clearly are things that happened in the past, and you try to
Hmm.
patch things together. It's really interesting, just thinking about how the backstory lead up into this game is the most in depth backstory lead up there's pretty much ever been
In a Zelda game.
in a Zelda game. Yeah, not obviously of all time. Um, so it's very interesting. It's very interesting how the game itself actually kind of bases itself a bit around that backstory by Link regaining his memories.
Hmm.
Um, which again, I feel like we can bring up because spoiler, whatever. We're talking about spoilers. Um, there's like 18 memories he can regain, which are videos, so you can replay those cutscenes over and over again as much as you want. We have no idea if we get to travel to that past point. Link has time traveled a billion times in the series, so it's always possible. Maybe he gets to go back to that and see what happened, or maybe you're just learning what happened, and that's part of the optional part of the game. Is like you
Hmm.
can learn about the past, but you don't have to. So it's just really interesting to me that the backstory that we got, it kind of gives us what people figured happened. All it really tells me is that the Guardians were not there, despite their name, to protect Hyrule. When they came upon Hyrule, they were enemy guardians. So like they weren't at Hyrule Castle protecting it; they came and attacked. Now they might have been originally built as guardians, as protectors, but the backstory that we hear kind of suggests that they were called upon to attack. So I guess the big question mark is what role does Sheikah have in any of this? Like it's pretty
Yeah.
obvious, at least to me, the Guardians are Sheikah tech. It looks like it in every form.
Hmm.
But I
Well, and obviously they're pushing the Sheikah in this game
Oh,
too. Like,
clearly, and like even mentioning the Sheikah are banished or have left or whatever the case may be, and like in the trailer, it looks like maybe you're fighting a Sheikah at one point. Not really sure. Seems to be wearing an upside down mask of truth.
hmm
Even if it's not the mask of truth, it's definitely an upside down Sheikah eye symbol on his face. Um, so it's like there's something going on with the Sheikah, and it's weird because the only other time we've seen Sheikah so far in the game has been in the shrines, and those were good guys or gals or good ancient spirits or whatever. Like they didn't seem evil. So like, are there multiple Sheikah tribes going on? Like, are the theories about there being two Sheikah tribes happening a thing? Um, you know, is Calamity Ganon's rise entirely the Sheikah's fault? That's why they're banished. Um, they willfully hand over all this tech to Ganon or Calamity Ganon as he became to be known. And it also brings up obviously all the timeline theories in the world.
hmm
Um, like some people now think it's on the downfall timeline because a lot of stuff in here, now that we have Zora's confirmed and Goron's confirmed and yada yada, like, oh, maybe, you know, this is, in the Great Deku Tree, which, yeah, he was in the Wind Waker too, but the Koroks are there as well. Like, bringing the whole, downfall timeline into play because that's when Link lost and maybe this is what happened. And it's always interesting thinking about that. I don't think that's the case because Link was wearing a green tunic, not a blue, in Ocarina of Time when you were fighting him. I mean, I guess
I mean,
you could have worn the Zora tunic, but that's definitely not
there,
what
there's
it is.
there's always like the idea. Well, he failed. Like I said on the ZR Reacts, he failed, got hurt, and they put him because it looks like he's wearing a Sheikah outfit or some
Yeah.
sort of outfit related to that, as opposed to Hylian, and that he was put there in that whatever he's in to recover, which is what I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, and it's
That's
interesting because it's like that blue glow, that blue water, um, seemed to be like a healing thing. And the
hmm
reason you bring that up now is because in the trailer, the Master Sword was glowing blue around it when it was
hmm
damaged, which means it's possible the Great Deku Tree has been sitting there trying to heal the Master Sword all these years, because it clearly is damaged. Um,
yeah.
and clearly got damaged in the past, which that's great. It's there's just so much going on in this game. I mean, Zelda's
hmm
crying. We've never seen that before.
Their faces actually show emotion.
Yeah, real emotion. Like not just Zelda, Link is showing real emotion. He actually cares
Yeah,
about what's going on, which is huge. Like there's been emotion, like in the Wind Waker, and even Skyward Sword had some facial expressions. Twilight Princess had a
but their
few weird ones.
faces,
Like there's
their
always
faces
been
don't
facial
like
expressions.
change. Like they're not like naturally flowing uh, or transitioning facial expressions.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about this. I mentioned that last time too. Like I really like how they're emoting and how it looks better in this
Yes.
game. Um, there's one thing we learned that there will be a journal that you keep in the game that shows you your progress and what you've done. Um, and
Reminds me of the Bomber's Notebook.
personally, yeah, well, personally, I hoped that it would have said things like instead of using the word you
Hmm.
to describe what you've done, it would be I, and so Link would be the one writing it.
Sure.
Just a small feature that I was kind of hoping for once I saw that, but you know, somebody pointed out that that would be too much, putting too much personality in Link, and um, I don't think so. I think that would have been great because it would have given us an insight into what Link is
Yeah, I
thinking.
also don't know if
Um,
I mean, this is clearly a Link that has had a lot happen to him. He obviously has his
yeah,
own personality in this game. Like that's very
yep.
obvious. But I don't know. It. I'm excited about the journal in general. So,
mhm.
um,
So
because like I
here's the
said, we haven't
question
really
then,
had
Nate.
anything like that since the Bomber's Notebook, which existed to help track side quests, and now we have a notebook that helps track side quest and main quest stuff. Um, so I'm excited.
So here's the question, Nate. Have you pre-ordered the Switch and Zelda yet?
Yep. 10 a.m. on the dot when GameStop opened on Friday.
Tried to get a Master Sword or a Master Collection or Special Edition, and they were sold out by the time I got to the desk.
Oh, jeez,
Like
that's rough.
GameStop sold out like that with the Master Edition, and I was like, okay, well they still have a few special editions left, and I didn't know how many people were gonna get it, and it was sold out by the time I got to
How
the desk. But that's
what
okay.
part in line were you?
I was like, I don't know because I don't know how many people came in before me, but I was like 13th in line. But they only had like 39 Switches, and I managed to get one, so that's a
Yeah,
plus.
my store
Um,
had there was I think they said they had 28 switches, and it was confusing because, as everyone knows, uh, GameStop had switches for both color versions,
mhm.
and like right before store opening, a glitch happened in their system, and they couldn't take pre-orders for like the neon blue and red. Um,
Mhm.
so like even the employees were confused. Like it still says we have 28 orders, but like are some people gonna end up getting the neon blue and red because that's what some of it is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion there. GameStop has been canceling some orders. It sounds like they're all online orders they canceled.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, they had like 28 switches at mine. They had and they had I believe it was 12 special editions, 0 master editions. Um,
Yeah, those sold out online the night that they went
yes,
live.
they did.
I don't
Which
think you could have
what
gotten.
what frustrates
Um,
me about that isn't that they sold out online. It's that I didn't even bother to try to get one because I assumed I could get it in store. Which
well, here's
I mean, maybe
like
that's my fault. Maybe I should have assumed I could get that in the store. Um, but all the other special editions I've always gotten in store because it's less of a hassle. Because now that there's two Game Stops kind of in my area, like one is like 10 minutes away, the other one's 20 minutes away. Well, the one that's 10 minutes away, there's not, it's in a smaller town. So I usually don't have to worry about big lines. Like I was still there early. I was gonna make sure I was
yeah.
gonna get my order in. Like I made sure I was within like the first 4 people through the door, um, and that's fine and everything. But it's just it upset me that I'm like really no master edition. Like that's something that should have been announced that you were doing online only for that because it
Well, and
wasn't announced.
here's my kind of complaint with that is the way Nintendo handled it because they're the kings of artificial demand. Um, and while it's a limited edition, I can kind of understand that. Um, you'd think that they would have like X amount of master editions, then the special edition would be like the deluxe edition
Sure.
that you could just like everybody could buy, kind of like they did with Dishonored 2 or Skyrim or any of these other games where you can get like the big bundle with a bunch of different stuff in it. Um, that's what I was kind of hoping for. Is to at least get the special edition because I really want that CD. I don't really care about anything else except for the CD in the game. But they also said that My Nintendo is going to be putting up the individual rewards on there, which would be the first good thing that My Nintendo had since the Twilight Princess Picross. Don't get me started on how My Nintendo's doing because that's another
I
story for
pretty
another
much
time.
think it's on hiatus till Switch.
Yeah. So, kind of talking about the Switch then, we learned a lot about it, a lot more about it at this event. Obviously, this is what the event was about.
Sure.
So I'm going to kind of run down a bit of uh, what we got and what we understand. So we learned that what's going to be bundled in with the Switch at release, and that's going to be $300. So you're going to have the basic grip with the two Joy-Con controllers, the right and the left one, the dock, the charger for the dock, this uh, the actual console, the tablet itself, um, and I think that's it. I think that's all I can. Am I missing anything there?
So you said charging cable, dock, Joy Cons, console, and the
Grip.
grip. Trying to think. I think HDMI cable.
Yeah, HDMI cable. So that's what you get with the box. Apparently, like Reggie came out and said the reason why there's no game bundled with the Switch is because they wanted to keep it under $300. Um, and you might be asking yourself, why is it so much money? Well, the Joy-Cons themselves are very, very expensive. They are going for $70 together or I think $40 separate, but I don't know why you'd want to buy.
79.99 together, 49
Yeah,
99 separate.
which is weird that you'd want to buy two an individual one unless something happened to
Yeah,
one of them.
that's the only reason I think
But
it
that's
exists. Like if one breaks, well,
but it's
you know,
still an insane price. And the Pro controller is also $80.
70.
$70. I thought it was 70 or 8. Oh, the
Joy Cons are
okay.
80. The
Joy-Cons are
the
80.
Pro Controller is 70. What
Um,
gets me isn't those per se. Like they once everything was explained to me, like what's in the Joy-Con controllers. Um, HD Rumble, laugh about it all you want. I was definitely laughing about it. Like, who cares? No way it's really as good as they say it is. Well, after watching, this is one thing I've been able to do since then, and kind of did today and yesterday, was look at some media members that I trust, like the people at Easy Allies, or at Kind of Funny Games, and listen to them talk about HD Rumble because they got to experience it. Um,
mhm.
and it works exactly like Nintendo said it does. You can like feel like it's mostly a 1-2 switch. They got to demo it, but like when they were doing the milk game in that, they could feel the milk like coming out of the udders, and it's like a weird sensation you can't really explain unless you've milked cows before.
Mhm.
They have a marble game in there. Like you could feel marbles in this thing. Like you got to guess how many marbles there are. It's like, it's a really cool tech that it just no one's ever thought about taking like rumble
Yep.
controls in this direction before.
Well, and it's we remember if you guys remember a long time ago, about maybe 2 years ago, they filed a patent for this,
Mhm.
with a specific haptic feedback, that was like this. They also uh, another thing that's in the controller that can make it as expensive is the IR sensors in it,
Yep.
that track where your hand is. They showed off that you could throw a baseball or catch something, using the
You can do
controller.
rock paper scissors,
Yeah, rock paper
and like
scissors.
it
It
like it's
maps
not just
everything.
like an IR pointer like the Wii was. Like it's a full like IR camera sensor.
It's an IR motion camera. And that's, again, probably expensive considering those bars for the sensors for the Wii were probably about $30. This is a way more advanced version of that.
Yes.
So, I mean, it makes sense that they're so expensive.
Plus
It's
standard
just,
gyro functionality.
yeah,
Um,
a
a
it's
lot,
upsetting
and
that they're that
they
much.
they do everything the Wiimotes did and do it better. In
Hmm.
addition, so it's kind of like they got full motion controls, and according to at least hands-on people, these controls are severely better than what the Wii, even with Motion Plus, could do. Most feel it's better than what Move does, and it might even be better than what the Vive and Oculus Rift
Well,
have for their
it's
motion
because
controls.
Nintendo's been working on
A
this
long, so
a
like
long time.
once I heard all of this, it's like okay, I get it. Like it has to be expensive. I don't. They're so small, but they got so much tech crammed into
Yeah.
those things. Um,
It just sucks because if you want extra ones, you're gonna have to shell
yeah,
out a lot of money.
yeah. That's the kind of the pitfall of it is it's so much tech in there, so you want extra ones that are expensive, but it also means it's also a big expensive part of the bundle. But see, I can almost forgive the Joy-Con controllers because reality is that there's a lot of even like extra Xbox 360 control, or I'm sorry, Xbox One controllers and PlayStation 4 controllers that are $70. There's
Yeah.
the Xbox One, their Elite controller. That's $150. So like controller prices don't bother me so much in terms of the base controls that come with the system, especially since for a lot of games you already have two controllers technically. Whether or not you think they're good, it is what it is. What gets me is the price of the dock for what is essentially
Separate.
an HDMI pass through. It powers the thing and does HDMI pass through to TV. That's basically it. There's nothing in that dock, but it's
Hmm.
$90 for a piece of plastic with a little board in there that's an HDMI pass through. HDMI pass throughs are like $5 on Amazon. So
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe this is like a price point they're trying to make standard for the dock because there's a rumor of like a new dock that might be coming out like a year or two from
With
now
the
that that
4K.
that does 4K. It does a supplemental
Hmm.
computing device thing. Whether or not that's true or not, I have no idea. But if it is, it might just be that they want to make this dock $90 now, so they could down the price of it over time and have it down eventually be like $30 in like 2 years. But then they could release the new dock at 90, which needs to be at 90 because of the tech in it. Um, But even
So more
then,
than
it's
that,
just
then
weird because people would understand, like, well, yeah, because you're adding an extra GPU to the equation. Of course, it's going to be expensive. Um, so that's the only peripheral that I don't get. Like, the I can understand the Pro controller being 70. It's $10 more than the Wii U Pro controller, but it also has gyro sensors and supposedly HD rumble. So like, I get it. It has
keep in
more
mind
in it
also
than the Wii U Pro controller, so it being $10 more doesn't surprise me. Just that
the
dock.
grip for
Oh,
the extra grip. The base grip that comes with the Switch
that upsets me
doesn't
too.
have a charging function.
Yes.
You can't charge the two controllers, the two Joy-Cons. With the regular grip, you have to buy another peripheral which charges it. Again, I assume that this is to keep prices down, but
Well, yeah, that's what it was. It was to keep like I'm assuming their profit margins, if there are any on this console, are slim, like
yeah,
razor thin. They're not. They said they weren't going to sell it at a loss. They're clearly not selling it at a loss. Doesn't mean they're selling it at a profit. It could be literally
yet.
break even. Like it sounds like that $299 price point that was a sticking point internally that they wanted to hit, and they did everything they could to make sure they hit it without losing money. Um,
hmm
and they didn't want to necessarily gimp on the hardware. They've probably had their hardware specs picked out for a while, what they wanted to be. They knew what they wanted to do with the Joy-Con, so they knew that was going to be expensive tech. But they also knew they couldn't really release the system without having the dock because why are you calling it a Switch if it's just a handheld system when you release it? So you got to throw the dock in there, which baffles me. Like that's the thing that gets me is I kind of get why the grip is not the more expensive version. It's the $2 piece of plastic version. I get it because it cut back on cost. What I don't understand is that dock. Why is it $90?
hmm
And I've been watching all these interviews with Reggie, and I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to come straight up and be like, look, I understand why this is expensive. Why is the dock expensive? There's no tech in the dock, so why is it expensive? Why is it more expensive than the Joy-Con controllers that have all this tech in it?
Yeah. They also have an NFC point in them for I forgot to mention that as
Yes,
well.
yes, and
Um,
over the right stick, which basically
yeah.
feels like they ran out of space to put it, so they just threw it behind.
Just put it under here.
Like whatever, it'll read it,
Um,
it'll work. You can still use your amiibo. Have a good day.
so, some information about storage then.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Um, the base storage will offer 32 gigabytes built in, which some of it will be taken up by the operating system, so I wouldn't expect a full 32 gigabyte hard drive. It can be expanded with SDXC cards up to 2 terabytes, which aren't actually out yet and won't be out by the time the Switch comes out, so you'll still have to wait a little bit of time before you can get that 2 terabyte
Fun,
SDXC
fun
card.
fact: the 1 terabyte one's not even out yet. It's only been
Yeah.
announced, and the rumored launch price is $1,000.
Yeah. So good luck with that. If you wanted to try to get that in
Yeah, I think the
to
idea
upgrade your
is
space.
that you can purchase like a 256 or a 512 one or even a 128 right now for cheaper, and then because the only thing that's nice about these cards is that the prices sync on them fast. So
hmm
they're thinking, 3-4 years from now, if you really need the 2 terabytes, well, you'll be able to afford it by then.
hmm
I think that's their thinking behind it. Because
It's still weird that you can't attach. Like we talked about this a long time ago, that you can't actually attach an external hard drive to the dock to save games onto. But that's
yeah,
that's neither
someone
here nor
actually
there now.
asked Reggie about the attaching an external hard drive, and he said we have nothing to announce at this time.
Yeah.
So he didn't outright say they're never going to do it. Just like Nintendo's not outright saying they're never going to have multimedia functions. It's just not
hmm
there at launch.
Which again is another weird feature.
You mean
I
lack
don't
of
understand why
feature?
they don't. Yeah, weird lack of feature. I don't understand why they
Like,
wouldn't have
yeah,
that when the
no Netflix at launch is really weird. Like that's the one.
and it's
If you don't have your other multimedia things ready yet, like the apps aren't ready, fine. But no Netflix.
well,
The
and
3DS
it's weird
has
because
Netflix.
yeah,
the
3DS has
3DS,
Netflix.
that crappy screen, I can watch Netflix on it. But I got this nice 720p screen, and I can't do I don't.
It it doesn't make sense.
Heck,
I don't know why they don't have that,
kickstand.
but
My phone doesn't even have that. Ugh. Anyways, frustrates me that they're
so
not
then
doing it. Probably more than the shit because I'm buying this for video game reasons.
yeah,
But still, it would have been nice if they would have had that Netflix at the beginning. And I personally think they haven't announced it yet. But I think it's because they're purposely holding back multimedia functionality to hide behind their paywall for online. And they're going to end up launching
Yeah.
all the multimedia functions
Oh, you talked
behind the
about that.
paywall at the end of the year.
So let's talk about that too.
Oh, great.
Um,
Getting all the negatives out of the way here.
well, then I'm gonna hit the game, so we'll be happy.
Maybe.
Kind of. So they announced at this event that they would have an online service, and this is the weirdest freaking thing I've ever heard in my entire life when it came to gaming. Okay, so let's talk about this. So, as everyone else is doing right now, it's going to be a paid service. I think they said $5 a month or something like that. And initially at the
Probably
conference,
$15 a month.
pro-
But
yeah, okay, $15 a month. So initially at the conference, what they said was that they would give, or like I think it was a little bit after, was that you'd get a free NES or SNES game every month, for having uh, the service for paying $15 a month. Well, then
with
a little bit
with
later they
added
said,
multiplayer features, by the way.
but then later they said, oh, well, that's actually not 100% true. This is more of a game demo, and after the month is over, you can decide whether or not you want to buy the game at full price. Which is ridiculous to me because you have stuff like PlayStation uh, Network, PS Plus, you get free games for every month. Xbox Live Gold, you get free, like, full size games every month. I think last month or 2 months ago, it was the entire Handsome Jack collection, and then Outlast. Those are pretty big games.
Yeah.
One of those is at least $60 you can get for free.
Well,
And I don't understand. I mean,
it wasn't
not for
$60 at the
free.
time, but yeah.
No, I know, but like it's a full game.
It's a AAA game.
Yeah, it's a AAA game that you can get essentially for free if you have the membership.
Sure.
And I think it's really weird, and it's a smart business move, but it's
Is
really
it?
unfair to the consumer. Well, I mean, if they're like you said, they're updating some features on these so they have multiplayer features. If we're talking about like Super Nintendo Mario Kart, and everybody wants to play that with their friends, then they're gonna be like, oh well, I'd like to buy this game, so I played the demo for a month. I wouldn't mind having it. Um, which is what I think they're thinking is. I think that they're like, oh, well, people are gonna want to play these games after they downloaded the demo for it.
Sure.
But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that plan is gonna fail.
I think Nintendo's in a bad spot here. We haven't even gotten to the worst part of the online stuff.
No, I know.
But like
I'm
the game,
I'm getting there.
the game aspect is baffling because, as you just mentioned, other services are offering full AAA games. Nintendo's talking about offering retro games that already cost under $5 in most cases on their Virtual Console eShop. So, yes, they're adding online functionality. So, how much more does that make the game worth? If you throw a few bucks under the price, okay. So they're offering like an $8 game for free temporarily for a month, and then you have to pay probably $8 to keep playing it. This is in addition to the price you're already paying. So basically, you're not getting anything for free. You're getting I'm not even going to say a demo per se because I assume you're getting the full game for that month. But
Yeah.
I will call it more like what EA Access does. You pay $5 a month to EA Access, and you get early entry to all of their games 3 days before release, and it's the full game, not a demo. They do end up limiting you by time. Nintendo's limitation is by time as well, but their time is in days, so it's however many days, and then you don't have it anymore. So, and EA Access will then charge you, for the game. But the difference with EA Access is they have the vault. So you get to play these games early, the full versions of the games. That's great, but that's not why you got EA Access. You got it because the vault. Right now, you can get Madden 17 in the vault, and that is their current edition of Madden. So you pay $5 a month, and now you have the entire game of Madden, plus FIFA, plus Dragon Age Inquisition, plus all these
Plus
other
Star Wars
games.
Battlefront, plus
Yeah,
Unravel.
like all these old games that people are still playing, you can get now for only $5 a month through a subscription service. And you know that subscription service is going to keep getting new games because EA keeps releasing new games. So it's one of those things where there's a value proposition there. And that's at the $5 level. Now you get into like Xbox at like $10 a month or $15 if you go month by month. And PlayStation Network, they're offering you full games that as long as you are subscribed, you get to play those games forever. as long as the service is obviously active on that console. So Nintendo's telling you, we're not even offering you that. We're not giving you a vault of games you can play. We're not giving you a game that you get to keep as long as you're subscribed. We're giving you a chance to try out a game so you could spend more money. Through a program where you're already spending money just to get the right to spend more money.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense. And of course, people are going to get subscribed because Nintendo is doing what everyone else does. Because honestly, the whole reason that these subscription services like Xbox Live and PlayStation Network thrive isn't because they give you free games. It's because they force you to have them to play multiplayer games. And obviously Nintendo's doing that same thing. So like, I'm gonna have a subscription because I want to play Mario Kart online. I want to play Smash Bros online. I want to play, Splatoon 2 online. Like, so I'm gonna want the subscription to play these games online. But now it's like, okay, so I'm gonna have to pay, and if it's going to be $10, let's say it's $10. Okay, so I'm paying to access your online games. What else are you doing to make this of value to me when a lot of online games I can just go to my PC and play for free? So where's my value proposition that I don't get on PC? And your proposition is what? A game I don't get to play after a month? It's Nintendo is out of touch with online gaming, and it's weird because they have this massive catalog of games, right? All they have to say is you get like one NES game, one SNES game for free every month, and you get to keep it forever. And that would, that's still not a full AAA game, but I think Nintendo fans would be okay with that as long as they're not giving you really, really crappy games. But Nintendo's not even doing that, and that's like the bare minimum, giving away a ROM that costs Nintendo nothing.
I'm still trying to find the pricing for it, and I don't think they've announced the pricing for it.
Yeah, like get rid of the online features and just give us a ROM that costs nothing for free forever, and that would make people more happy than what they're doing.
I meant the paying for online.
Yeah.
They haven't released pricing.
They said they're going to talk more about it later, which means they're not going to say anything about it until like E3 or something.
So here's the most frustrating part.
No.
This is probably the most stupid part of the Switch. It seems like for every one step forward Nintendo took with this thing, they took 2 steps back, especially when it came to their online.
Isn't it?
I wrote it
at Nintendo Prime, so maybe you didn't read it.
So Nintendo has announced that you will no longer have friend codes. You will have friends lists. You'll probably link to your Nintendo. Yeah, everything's account based. It'll be probably with your My Nintendo. And then you can do online matchmaking, you can do voice chat, but, and here's the most ridiculous part about this, is that you have to do it all through a phone app. Man, okay, that sounded stupid when I said it. So what is going to happen is you'll have a Nintendo Switch companion app on your phone. I'm assuming it's going to be on iOS and Android.
Yep.
Hopefully at the same time. We're hoping. And what you do, I still don't 100% know how this is going to work, but you're going to go into a lobby on your phone, and you're going to you can set up a server, you can set up a lobby with it, and invite friends or find matchmaking online and connect to it through your phone instead of on the console like a normal video game console. And then if you want to voice chat, you're going to have to do it through your phone instead of like a headset into the console like a normal console. And so basically any interaction you want to have with other people online is going to have to go through your phone. If this sounds ridiculous to you, you're not the only one, because this is ridiculous. I don't think anybody's really happy about this. I don't think anybody's thinking, man, that was a great move for them.
It's Nintendo being Nintendo.
We've talked about...
Reggie even said every time he's been asked about it, like, right, we see what the competitors are doing, and we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it in our own way. And it's like, your own way is fine if it offers an improvement. And the way Reggie worded it is so out of touch with why people want these features. The moment he said you're not gonna want to take out a bulky headset, right? What are you even talking about, dude? That's exactly what people want to do. The people that care about online voice chat care about bulky headsets because they want the immersion of the game and
Yeah.
clarity of the voice chat to be one and the same. There are people that literally wear headsets while they game just so they can hear the game better. Like,
Well, like the headset I'm currently wearing right now that I'm using
yeah,
as a microphone, maybe an $80 headset, but I use it whenever I'm playing Overwatch online with friends, whenever I play Team Fortress 2, play any online game with friends that I want to hear what's going on in the game and still be able to hear them clearly. I want to be able to have that option.
yeah.
Sure, sometimes, if we're lazy, we'll just get on Skype and we'll call each other. Um, but I don't understand Nintendo's approach to this.
Well, and
And like we
it's like, look, one reality is not everybody has a smartphone. I know a lot.
Yeah,
I know a lot of
that's the
people
other
do.
thing too.
A lot of people do, but not everyone. And not everyone wants to use their smartphone to be a chat server, basically. And it's really weird because the idea is that Nintendo wants to give you a way to voice chat on the go. So they're like, if you're hotspotting somewhere, you can do your voice chat while hotspotting the console because the console only has Wi-Fi. So you're hotspotting the console and you want to do voice chat and you're on the go. Well, you could do it through your phone and everything's all hunky dory. And it's like, I think that's cool to have as an option. Like, if someone
As
does
an
not have
in
a
addition
headset
to.
and they happen to be on the go, but they do have their phone, okay, maybe have that as an option to use your phone. That would be like, okay,
Well,
give us traditional, but then give us this option because no one else has that option.
it's more of a I would be okay with it if it was in addition
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm saying.
a
In addition
regular
to
service.
I like okay having an app where I can go online. I'm out of the house. I can set up play dates with my friends.
Well, even Xbox and PlayStation have apps that
Yeah,
you can add people on. Steam has the same thing, but those aren't your primary sources for connecting
yeah.
with people.
Like I'm
Um,
okay with phone with there being an app that makes it so you can use your phone in voice chat. That doesn't
mhm.
bother me. It's that's what I have to do because here's what happens, and this is something that I can't believe no one's asked Reggie this yet because this is something they need to get out in front of right now. Is how can I put in headphones to voice chat and yet hear my game audio at the same time?
Yeah.
That has not been addressed. And I know people, well, just put voice chat in one ear and just take your headphone out the other. So I have to either make my voice chat experience worse or my game listening experience worse. That does not sound intuitive. That does not sound like what anybody wants to do. Nintendo needs to answer this. Now, when you do your app, does the audio end up streaming through your app to your headset? Is there a lag in that? So now the audio isn't working as well on my TV. It's off. Um, you know, how does that work? Do you really? Am I really going to look at my phone and be like, well, I have 3 kids. Let me turn off all possible notifications so I don't get any interruptions on my phone. And then I game for 3 hours and find out later my kids died because my phone had to be used for voice chat. I couldn't check it for anything else.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like you said, this is Nintendo. They're doing what Nintendo does and trying to innovate where innovation does isn't needed. Um, and
And here's the thing:
like,
there are headsets releasing for for Nintendo Switch, like bulky headsets that are officially licensed that Nintendo says we don't need. And those headsets are going to be things we plug into our phones. Like, what?
I don't understand that approach. I don't think anyone does. Nintendo hasn't really given us a lot of information about how the app works, what we're going to be
Well, they're
expecting from the
releasing
app.
the app in the summer with partial
Yeah.
functionality, whatever that is.
So how are you going to set up? I don't think any. Like here's the thing too. Then, there aren't any online games coming out for the Switch at launch. Just kind of getting that out of the way. You're not going to find anything online until about April. That's when you'll start seeing games with online
Yeah,
functionality.
Mario
And then
Kart. I'm trying.
yeah, Mario
I'm
Kart,
actually
ARMS,
thinking to
Splatoon.
launch them out. Yeah, even thinking of the smaller games. I don't think any of those are online.
Uh, no. So here's my gripe with this. If you can't tell already, we don't really like this idea.
Oh, it's
Um,
terrible.
the f the fact that you have to
That
go
is the
through an
only way
app.
to do it. And I know probably. Are
And
you sure? Yes, Reggie has confirmed several times this is how you do voice chat. Period.
if Nintendo was smart, they'd follow in what Xbox did when they unveiled. I don't think this is gonna happen, but if they unveiled, like did what they did when they said that this is a DRM console, always have to have it online, you can't share games, and then they heard the fan feedback and were like, okay, well we're gonna correct all this and go back on it, and so you'll get the console that you're hoping for. Um, the thing is, I don't think Nintendo will do that because of how far this game is into, or the console is into development, how it's about ready
Mm-hmm.
to be shipped out. Um, what would behoove them is a first month patch, like a heavy first month patch that has all of this stuff that's on the app in the console. Um, the problem is they'd have to update every single game with that then too. Every single game would have to work that way because right now every single game that's going to be online is going to run through the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you're going to have to connect with people. Um, I don't have anything positive
Yeah,
to say about this.
in
This isn't smart. It's not
it's just
a good
it's
idea.
bad all around. Um, just bad. Like even I mean some of the oh sorry, some of the systems let you voice chat with your friends without even paying any money.
Yeah,
Maybe they don't like do full group things, but like I can, my Xbox Live expired. Well, I can still go hit up my guy on Xbox One and like, not only can I message him, I can voice chat one on one with him, um,
yeah. While playing a game.
while playing the game. Yes, that's the big thing. So it's almost like Nintendo. The only the only the only logical explanation I can have for this is
Careful.
when you do voice chat over your system, is that it's going to use system resources, right? Yes, everything will be
Yeah.
managed by an online server, but you still got to have the functionality within the operating system. It's still going to use up some resources. And the idea by doing it on the phone is that it takes all the resources away from the Switch and lets the Switch focus on just games. You know, it won't have multimedia function at the launch. It won't have voice chat. It's not gonna have anything. You can't do anything with the system but play games, which is a wholly positive thing for game developers, because because they can do whatever they want. Obviously, game developers have multiplayer games that want to use voice chat. I don't know how they're gonna work or how Nintendo makes that work for them. But
Yeah, I don't know. Because then they'd have to develop a tie-in for the app.
think about it.
Uh,
Like I know it's a bad example because a lot of people don't like the voice chat in the game because of the type of people that play it. But even in Call of Duty, right? When you get into that lobby before the game, you can talk to everybody.
mhm.
How is that going to work through a phone when I got to set it up with groups and everything? How are third parties that want to include native voice chat default in the game going to be able to do that?
This just speaks to Nintendo still being out of touch with online services. And like we mentioned earlier with the My Nintendo being a mess right
Sure.
now, they don't really know how to handle their online. They never have.
Yeah, here's another
Um,
example. As much as it might not have been as big a success as possible, there will not be Miiverse anymore.
mhm.
And to me, that's the perfect feature that if you improve upon it, you could throw that behind the paywall, and that would be something of value. Um,
Yeah,
a
that could be your
network,
voice chat and
of
stuff.
Nintendo gamers that are doing some social sharing that is exclusive to people who pay. And the nice thing about the exclusivity of it being a paid service is you would assume by it being a paid service that it would get regular improvements over some of the issues it has today. Because
Mhm.
Miiverse was okay. It's not terrible. Um,
You had developer updates. You had like not
and,
codes,
and I
but you
get the
had
idea is
hints. You
probably
had
like, oh,
people.
we give up. Everyone's still using Facebook and Twitter. Sure. And Miiverse.
Yeah.
Um, so, because like Miiverse had things you couldn't do on the other ones, like natively being able to draw and use your
Mhm.
stamps that you achieve in games. And the weird thing is that they keep saying they're supporting the 3DS, and today they just announced a brand new 3DS game, a pretty
Mhm.
big 3DS game. So it's like,
Two.
yeah, well, two technically.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so maybe they're serious. Maybe they are going to keep the 3DS going for 2 or 3 more years. And if that's the case, 3DS is Miiverse. So now, you have this archaic system that isn't supporting Nintendo accounts very well. Like, you can link your Nintendo Network ID, but it's not really a true Nintendo account.
Yeah.
So you have working on your old system, having Miiverse, supporting all that. Well, you have this new system that's not doing any of that stuff, is more expensive, and is having your console quality games. It just, and part of this, Nintendo can't help. The reality is the 3DS has been selling really, really well the last 6 months, primarily because of Pokemon Go and
Pokemon Sun.
pretty much Pokemon in general.
Yeah.
Is why it's seen an uptick, and I think Nintendo knows that. And I think their goal is like, well, okay, if we release this Fire Emblem mobile game, that's going to make more people buy the 3DS game, and that it's entirely possible that does happen. So now Nintendo sees a way that they can tie their 3DS and mobile phones together. So now they want to keep the 3DS going, and I get that. It's fine, but how are you going to say that the 3DS has some features on it that are better than the Switch? Because, like Miiverse, it's free. Online play is free. But it's not on Switch. I can go play Mario Kart 7 online on my 3DS for free while I have to pay to play Mario Kart 8 online for free. And I got to pay more for Mario Kart 8. Like,
you can go play Mario Kart 8 on the Wii on the Wii U for free
too, which
you can play Splatoon for free.
Yeah, which you would assume, at least I assume, by the time they launch this, they're going to cut off Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 online play on the Wii U. I just have a feeling
it's just going to get homebrewed and put servers back up.
They're going to just take those servers down, and they're going to be like, look, you want to keep playing, you need to go buy a Switch.
Here's the thing that a lot of the other subscription services have, like we talked about, that they have like incentives for you to get them.
Sure.
They have good online. It seems more like Nintendo's holding the online hostage, and you have to pay to get it back, which is what a lot of them felt like at first. A lot of subscriptions felt like at first, for PSN, for Xbox. But back then, back in the day, back before PS4 and Xbox, when you paid for those, you were paying for additional features. You weren't paying for the internet usage. And then once they, for whatever reason, they added the internet usage to being part of the Plus or the Gold membership, you still got those extra features with it, but now you had to have it to go online. Right now, it just feels like Nintendo's like, well, you want to use the online, you got to pay money for it.
Yeah, well,
there's
what's
no other
weird
reason.
about it to me is that Nintendo has a bad track record with online.
Oh yeah.
I don't just mean being late to the party. I don't just mean the universal account garbage that should have existed at Wii U launch and 3DS launch, to be frank. I understand why it wasn't there at Wii. Who cared? They didn't care about online back then. It is what it is. But
we had Wii Connect 24.
It's not just that they did not. Yeah, Wii Connect 24. It's not just that they didn't have universal accounts and all this other stuff they messed up. It's that their online wasn't good. Servers were laggy as heck with Super Smash Brothers. Servers are still laggy with Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon. You get lots of dropouts, and you're going to have that because some of that's dependent on individual users' internet. But it seemed even more prevalent on Nintendo's console than the other two. And, some of that you can say, well, they have paid services, so they can do better upkeep, get more servers, which is something Reggie said, now that we charge, we can have more servers. I get that, but you need to prove that before you charge. And that's your own fault. Yeah. Xbox didn't prove it before they charged, but Xbox is a multi-billion-dollar computer networking company. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course their network works. Because if it didn't, they wouldn't be Microsoft.
Well, and we knew from previous that, like, the Xbox 360 had good online.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 3 had good online, so there was no reason.
Xbox had good online. Frankly,
there was no reason to doubt
there was no
that
reason to think
once
Microsoft
you
couldn't
moved
do it.
over.
PlayStation was like Nintendo. Okay, their online didn't cost money, but they proved their online servers and everything were stable before they started charging money in the first place. Like
on the PS3 it was
we're
free.
Gonna start charging money for PSN, but you need to worry. We put concerns in your minds that our servers can't even handle our games. Like that wasn't a concern with Sony. Nintendo has that as a concern.
And I think that's why they have that 14-day free trial thing or whatever.
Oh God.
Um, but there's it's a problem because here's the problem they're going to run into. In those first few days where everybody gets that free trial, everybody's going to be online trying to get it to work, and so the servers aren't going to handle it.
Yep.
I know for a fact that Nintendo servers are going to be overloaded. They never prepare well for stuff like this or for an influx
But
of
see,
members.
this is the general problem with them charging at all. Until Nintendo proves they can handle online correctly, you can't charge. You cannot charge people
Hmm.
for an inferior experience to what they get everywhere else. You just cannot do it, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they're trying to say we are worth it because we are Nintendo, and yeah, those other services you might get full AAA games, but you don't get to play Mario Kart 8 online. You don't get to play Splatoon online. They don't have those games, and that's great. You have fantastic multiplayer games, but the online experience has always been one of the worst things about those games.
Yeah,
Splatoon might be the exception. Uh,
Splatoon was like that was probably the one game that had, for the most part for me,
was
stable
okay,
internet.
and you know, and it's odd saying that because it was almost a surprise success story for Nintendo. So
Hmm.
like, that was a game that caught them off guard, but somehow they handled online well for that. Smash Bros should not have caught them off guard, and it does every time. Mario Kart 8 shouldn't catch them off guard, yet it did. Um, like
Well, it's weird when people
Nintendo
don't
needs a
plan.
good year or two of free online with Switch to prove they know what the hell they're doing. They can't
Yeah,
just tell us they know what they're doing and then unveil features that tell us you have no clue what you're doing.
they haven't earned consumer trust
Exactly.
in the online section yet, and
I want them.
um,
I
that
want them. I would gladly pay for a subscription service if I knew that Nintendo knew what they were doing. The fact that they're not offering you any games for free, period. There is no such thing as a free
mhm.
game. Um, you know, we are they're gonna have discounts on games. There is a potential. Maybe they're really heavy discounts. Maybe you end up getting 60% off brand new games.
Yeah,
That would be really enticing if that was true. Uh,
it kind of, but like even this is kind of ties into my problem with my Nintendo. Is that the biggest thing that my Nintendo has is like a 30% discount on
yeah,
certain games, and that's BS. That's awful. So you're saying that these small things, like every purchase I make online through your eShop, all I can do is get a discount on another game. Um, and right now that's still, it still drives me insane that the only way that you can get games registered through there is buying them online.
yeah.
Again, I
Yeah,
can't.
that's
I
what I'm
don't.
saying.
I
Like,
can't.
their My Nintendo service isn't that great. It
Mm-mm.
has the potential. Like, they have an okay setup in some cases with My Nintendo. Like, there are some good ideas in there.
My goodness, Club Nintendo was better than my Nintendo.
Okay, Club Nintendo had physical rewards. I don't think it's fair to compare.
I
Club
know, but
Nintendo
I mean,
started off with like, dude, you can get this amazing exclusive temporary merchandise just by buying
well, but
Nintendo games and doing
that's the
surveys.
thing, is that you had those incentives and you
Yeah,
had reasons to buy these
sure.
games. Beyond that, like I remember.
What sucks about when Club Nintendo transitioned to digital, and then obviously my Nintendo's pretty much all digital, literally. Um,
Yeah.
it's that no one else was doing what Club Nintendo was doing, right? They
Hmm.
weren't giving away merchandise for just buying games and doing surveys. Like
They've been doing that for years
that wasn't a
too.
thing, but Nintendo was. So like Club Nintendo when it launched, or for like the first 5 years, it was something nobody else had. And
Man,
that could
that's
be
a
something
throwback.
that, like, if you're going to do a paid online service, you could have something like a Club Nintendo exclusive to it where you get literal merchandise for buying games
Hmm.
if you are a subscription. Like, if you purchase a game physical or otherwise that's brand new, so, obviously if it's a used copy, it's already been registered, it is what it is. But you get a new physical copy or a new digital copy, and you buy it while you are currently subscribed, you get points that you could use and to
Hmm.
get physical merchandise. Um, and that's what
And
Club
here's the
Nintendo
thing, like,
was, and they're obviously not doing that. Which, the whole basis here is that the reason I think Club Nintendo is even worth talking about, because nobody else did what Club Nintendo does. So you can say, well, why should Nintendo do what they because it would be something that's an incentive that other people didn't do. It would be them
hmm
saying, look, we're going to put our arm out there, our head out there, and we're going to be, hey, we're doing something no one else is doing. So here you go. Instead
well,
of
and it's a
doing
reward
something
for
that no one
playing their
else is
games.
doing, because it's stupid versus doing something no one else is doing that's awesome. No one else is
Yeah.
forcing you to have to do voice chat and lobbies through your phone, but you are. And that's stupid. Nobody else is giving you games with added stuff that you can only play for a month and then you have to pay for because it's stupid. It doesn't add value. You're just telling the customer to pay to try the game and then pay to buy the game, with no vault or no, And the thing is, maybe we're overreacting. I don't think we're overreacting on voice chat at all. That's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing with voice chat.
Yeah.
Unless they make drastic changes before they launch and they say, like, oh, we screwed up. We should really put that on the console so
Don't think
people,
that's gonna
when they're
happen.
playing at home, can just throw that headset on, not have to have their phone, get immersed in the game, and talk to their friends. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm hoping they realize. I'm hoping that because this online paid service and the app don't launch till summer, and then the paid part launches at the end of the year. I'm hoping that they hear all this feedback people are giving and realize, okay, we got to do something about this and rethink it. So by the time they launch the paid stuff, we can do voice chat through our console. However, while there's time to change that, one thing we don't know about yet with this system is anything about Virtual Console. It's going to be there. It's been a big money maker for Nintendo, so they're going to have it. But Nintendo's not ready to talk about it, and I'm wondering if the reason they're not ready to talk about it is maybe. This is just me hoping. Maybe there's going to be part of it that is free and part of the online subscription. Kind of like an EA Access Vault, where you are going to have access to games for free. Maybe not all of them. It's only going to be a selection. But it's not going to be one of those like, oh, we give you a game a month. It's like, no, you just always have access to, say, the first 3 Mario games. Like, you just always have access to them, period, if you're subscribed.
Yeah.
And that's something that, again, this would make the online service feel a lot more worthwhile, because then you're paying to access a vault of games like you do with EA Access. So, again, there is still technically something out there we really don't know anything about that might have something to do with online. It's just hard to believe that's what Nintendo's going to do.
Yeah. Again, they still have a lot to prove.
Like, I would love. You know what I
online.
really want Nintendo to do, a Virtual Console, and this would make me so happy. You know what? PlayStation is done with it, right? And how they have, like, whatever it's called. It's really terrible. You have to stream games from their old library, and you pay a subscription. It's ridiculously stupid how PlayStation does it, which is another out of touch with the reality moment for Sony. Which I get it. Like, streaming games, maybe that's the future, when everybody has fiber optic internet, but people don't have that. So it just was not the tech. The internet speeds are not caught up in the homes to really do that properly. However, I would love maybe Virtual Console is just part of their online service. So now they're maybe now Nintendo charges $20 a month, but you get literal access to all of the Virtual Console library, and what you're paying, what you're getting each month is that additional functionality. So that additional online features, like being able to take old school Mario Kart and play it online. And that's what you have to pay for after you get to try it for a month.
I don't know if they do. See, I
don't think they're going to do this, by the way. Nintendo.
No. I know.
No way. But that to me
terms
would be
of
like,
pricing,
okay, well, you know what? I'm not paying for online. I'm paying $20 to access all of your NES and SNES games. N64 games. However fast you want to add them, whatever. I don't have to pay for each individual game. I'm just paying a subscription, and I get the whole library.
Here,
I don't think they're going to do this
thing for me,
because this is me being like, I want there to be a positive side to this. I don't see a positive side to anything they're doing with online right now.
In terms of pricing, I don't think Nintendo will go over $10 or $12
I worry that they're going to look at what Xbox Live does, and they're going to be like, well, look, you can do month to month for $15, or you can do 6 months and pay $60 and pay $10, or a year and pay like $7 or $8.
See, but the thing is that they couldn't go over either Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation. And that's the thing.
Well, it's Nintendo, so yes, they could.
They could. I don't think that it would be very well received, just because of the
their
fact
online's already not well received.
I know, but just because of the fact
Nintendo will
that
be like,
um,
well,
it,
people don't like this anyways, so the few that are gonna do it, we might as well charge them $20 a month.
well, if it they I can't see them like they want to have a competitive like it's online at this point now is going to be a competitive market. Who's got the best online for the best price? If Nintendo has it, then they're going to have an affordable online that has a really good like really good service, really good connection, good incentives. Right now I don't see that happening. But they couldn't do like okay, well, here's $20 a month just to play online. I
Well,
don't
that's the
think
thing.
people would
Like,
go for
that's
that.
why I said
No, I
twenty
know, but
dollars
I
is
don't think.
justifiable if you say, yes, you get all the online features, but hey, did you know you get access to all of the games we've ever made running through GameCube?
I mean, oh, through GameCube.
Well, even
I
if it's
mean,
just through N64, that's a massive library of games you just get for spending $20 a month.
it is, but there's still a lot of money a month.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
like, dude, N64 games, some of those were going for like $15 a pop. So like,
I know.
you think about
I'm just
having
saying though,
access to
like,
like thousands of games, for $20 a month.
but Nintendo's also like this is aimed at adults. This is aimed at kids as well. I can't see a parent. I mean, there are parents out there that would do this, but I don't know if I could justify uh, to my kid after spending $300 on a console saying, okay, every 20 months too, we'll
Sure,
pay
but
for you to have
you could
online for
justify
this.
to your kid that if he wants to talk to his friends, he has to have a smartphone when he shouldn't even have a phone yet.
Exactly. Like there's so much wrong with it. We don't know
Oh, you want to play with
pricing or
your
anything
best
like
buddy
that.
who is on vacation? Yeah, well, you can't because I'm not letting you use my phone.
So moving on from the terrible
Oh, I'm
internet that we
sorry. I
talked
know
about for
this
way
took
too
up probably
long,
way longer than we thought it would.
let's go over some of the games. I'm just gonna read down
By the
this
way,
list.
we
It's a
better hope
long
and pray.
list. For what?
Um, so my Audacity stopped recording for some reason. The video is still recording, and I think it has audio, but I didn't make sure it does. So
Try
I'm gonna
try
restart.
re. Did you?
I'm gonna continue Audacity here, um, just in case. But I hope we didn't just lose like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I hope we didn't either. We'd have to just cut that out. Um, you want me to wait?
Um, this is not good. Oh my god, I'm gonna open a new
Did
Audacity file. Do it in there.
you just run out of space?
No, because the video's still going. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm
I'm
assuming the
just gonna go.
video. I mean, I did set the video to the right microphone, so I'm hoping. Anyways, we'll continue.
So I'm gonna read all these games while Nate's
No, we're
figuring out
good. We're
whether or
good.
not he
I got
has.
audio going now. So.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna read off the games in terms of launch games, post-release first-party games. This is off of Eurogamer. Third-party games, and I'm gonna make some updates because we've had some updates since then. Third-party Nintendo Switch games confirmed for 2017, and then games with no release date that are also third-party. So at launch, we've got Breath of the Wild, March 3rd, 1-2 Switch, March 3rd, Just Dance 2017, Skylanders Imaginators, Super Bomberman R, and then we learned today that Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus is going to be a release game, which would make sense because the game's been out anyways. And I think that's all we have confirmed for release so far for a launch game. In terms of post-release first-party Nintendo games, we've got the Snipper Clippers Cut It Out Together in March, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in April, ARMS in spring, Splatoon 2 in summer, Fire Emblem Warriors late 2017, and then the new Fire Emblem game that was announced today, coming out for the Switch in 2018. Uh, Supposedly Pokemon Stars.
Oof.
I don't know where they're getting that from. It's still a rumor. Um, in late 2017, Super Mario Odyssey and Holiday 2017, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is to be announced, to
Yes.
be like
Yep.
determined. Um, Miyamoto told Eurogamer back in 2015 that Pikmin 4 is on the way and it's likely to be a Switch title. Probably not going to be a launch title. We probably won't hear anything from that until E3. Here are the 30 third-party games coming for the Switch in 2017. I Am Setsuna Fast RMX, which looks a lot like Fast Racing Neo. I think it's the same company. Has Been Heroes, Rhyme, Dissidia 5 Complete, Lego City Undercover, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Sonic Mania, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, NBA 20K or 2K18, Project Sonic 2017, Shovel Knight, Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap, Monster Boy, and The Cursed Kingdom. Then for third-party Nintendo Switch games with no release date, this is slightly a long list. We've got Archives, Constructor Cube Life Island Survival, Dragon Quest X, Dragon Quest XI, Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, EA Sports FIFA, Farming Simulator, Minecraft Story Mode The Complete Adventure, Rayman Legends Definite Edition, Red Out, Seasons of Heaven, New Shin Megami Tensei, Stardew Valley, State of Mind, Steep, Siberia 3, Project Octopath Traveler, Taiko Drum Master, new Travis Touchdown game from Studio or Suda 51, new Tales of RPG, and Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers. We've also learned that Toki Tori, 2 developer, 2 tribes, is thinking of shifting PS4 and Xbox One title Rive away from the Wii U into the NX, which would make sense because, the Wii U's dead for all intents and purposes. Project Cars, which has been struggling to work on the platform, is probably could move to the Switch. Ukulele is pretty much confirmed. We don't know when it's coming out. They said early 2017. I wouldn't expect it to be a launch game. And then we've got SteamWorld, the developers from that working on something. And then we have, of course, all the other companies that we heard about that are coming out with different things. Um, so, just momentarily, I'm going to kind of give you a rundown of the Fire Emblem conference. If you didn't, I don't really want to spend too much time on that because I still want to get to the betting part that we did. Um, but Nintendo had a Fire Emblem Direct today where they talked about three different games. Yeah, three. So the first one that they announced was Fire Emblem Echoes, which is basically a rebuilt from the ground up game of Fire Emblem 2 Gaiden, which was never released in the States. It looks like it runs on the same engine that Fire Emblem Fates does, in terms of character develop or character build, completely new full rendered cutscenes, new art. Complete voice acting, all this stuff. Basically, a brand new Fire Emblem game, just with the same uh, aspects from Gaiden. They said that they're going to keep the battle system, which was different from any other Fire Emblem game. It had an overworld that you could travel on that was more than just a map selection screen. So it's going to be more like that, but it's also going to be updated for a modern Fire Emblem audience. Second, they announced Fire Emblem Warriors. They kind of showed off a little bit of it. I really wouldn't say they showed off a lot. They said Yuri Lowenthal, the guy that was uh, announcing the whole trailer, said that they're showing off footage that wasn't in the game trailer at the Switch conference, but it really wasn't a lot. It showed off like Crom,
Sure.
showed off Tharja, I think. I don't remember if it was too many people. It was really short. It was only maybe like an extra 5 or 6 seconds at the end of the thing. Then the biggest announcement. Finally, we learned about the Fire Emblem mobile game, which is Fire Emblem Heroes. It's basically a Fate stay game, if I can say it like that, built in the Fire Emblem world. Different gameplay mechanics, but the same kind of idea in that you summon heroes into the game using orbs, which you can pay for, you can buy a wallet, or you can get in game. And so you summon these heroes in, you could train them up from 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, or you can get them at those different stars. And the goal is to go through the story, and each screen, I think they said, is the base size for the phone. And you'll have X amount of enemies on the screen, and you'll have X amount of heroes that you can fight, and your goal is to clear the stage of all the enemies and then move on to the next one. So it's not as much as an open, sprawled battlefield in terms of tactics as the original one. It's very bare bones Fire Emblem. I don't think there's a matchmaking system in it. It's more along the lines of, again, like I said, a summoning game with also some tactics to it because you have the sword, the spear, or the javelin, and the axe in terms of the weapons triangle. So that game is coming out February 2nd for both iOS and Android. Right now, there's a voting thing going on the Fire Emblem Heroes website where you can get My Nintendo points because those are worth nothing right now. But you can get My Nintendo points for voting for whichever character you want to see in the game. I'm assuming they're probably just going to keep adding characters as it goes on. They said that there'll be new characters and old characters, so you'll have characters from Fates, you'll have characters from oh my gosh, um, like Radiant Dawn. You'll have probably from Gaiden. You'll have them from uh, the one before on 3DS, which I keep forgetting about. Um, I don't know why that name escapes me, but basically it's going to be a giant love letter to Fire Emblem fans. It'll be free to play with in-app purchases. and that should be available February 2nd. So that was that, and now we're on to our betting special again. Gonna kind of go over some of the things that we talked about last time, some of the different predictions we made, and how wrong we were. Because boy, were we wrong about a lot. You ready, Nate?
I don't even remember what the predictions were
So I'm
because
gonna read them
it.
off.
I feel weird saying that because they were my predictions, but I, I don't know. It's really weird that I'm excited for the Switch, yet the conference didn't make me excited for the Switch. Yeah, I don't know.
So pretty much none of our predictions came true. So we'll start off with that. Um,
That's not good.
so number one, Alfred's prediction: Nintendo will announce GameCube HD remakes for non-Zelda games on the 12th. That was a no. So that's a not for me. Nate, this is one I struggled with, but I decided to go ahead and go with for yes for other reasons that I'll get to at the end of this. It said they are going to announce at least 3 AAA third-party exclusives for the first 2 years of Switch's lifespan. We don't actually know if they're for the first 2 years of the Switch's lifespan, but I gave it to you anyways.
Which games are those?
I just closed the thing.
I mean, I know one of them is Fire Emblem Warriors, which is
technically
no, it's
third party,
but it's also not exclusive because it's 3DS now.
That's true.
So I'm just curious what games they were. Because I don't even remember one third party exclusive game.
Yeah, I don't think there are any third. I mean you have Just Dance. Well, that's not a third party exclusive. Super Bomberman
Okay,
R.
okay. That's one.
Would you consider Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
Nope, that is a Nintendo second party.
You've got Has Been Heroes from Frostbite, Fast RMX, Rhyme,
No, I know
Binding. Well,
one I know for sure. We don't know if it's gonna be the first 2 years, because they haven't started development on it yet. They announced the what is it? The No More Heroes 3.
yeah,
So that's 2.
the Travis
There we go.
Touchdown
So
game.
2 for sure.
The Fast RMX, which is
Yeah, but
Switch.
like, are we counting indie games?
Oh, you said that's right. You said
Yeah.
AAA.
So I mean, it's
Let's
questionable if Super Bomberman's really AAA, but I mean,
it's Konami.
That's
a AAA company.
It's a AAA publisher, so
You've got Red Out, which may or may not come out, but that's not a
AAA.
thing. But you've got Project Octopath. You've got the Travis Touchdown game. There is, I think there was one
Octopath
other
is the
one that
one
I'm
that
probably missing.
I'm on the fence for.
Well, it's a 2D.
Yeah.
It's Square
Yeah,
Enix.
I know
so
who's publishing
it's
it,
technically
but it's
AAA.
kind of like, even with like Bravely Default, is that really a AAA game?
I'd say it would be because it's a AAA company. I think that I'm giving it to you, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay. Obviously,
later on.
it's weird. I'm arguing against myself, but that's why. Because I'm just
I
like,
know.
okay, like yeah, there was the No More Heroes 3 announced, which not shown, just announced they're gonna make it, and then
In the weirdest
Fire
announcement
Emblem
ever.
Warriors, which is probably gonna make that 2-year window.
Yeah. Super Bomberman R, which is supposed to come
Yeah,
out.
which I guess that's
at-
if we
at
count Super Bomberman,
launch.
then that's 3. So
Yeah. So I gave that
okay.
one to
Well,
you.
now that you went back to the list,
preemptively.
okay. If Super Bomberman
then-
counts, then that's 3 probably. I don't think. I don't know. We don't have a referee
Then
in this
my-
to fully determine. But
My second one was a proper Pikmin 4 will be announced, and that was a no.
oh yeah.
You said announce but not show a new Metroid game for the Switch, which they did not do either.
No, just Reggie
then I
saying,
said-
we hear ya. Get back to me in a year.
Yeah. I said Nintendo will open with a video like they did with the puppets. That was a no. You said music. Then someone comes out and introduces the console with the traditional opening, and that was a yes. Then I said Nintendo will re-emphasize the companies that have committed to the Switch, and that was a yes. They actually showed the graphic that I didn't think that they would. I was like, oh, they'll just re-emphasize a bunch of the companies.
Yeah.
They might show the graphic, and they showed the exact
they showed
same
the
graphic
exact same
again.
graphic because they barely showed any games.
So I got really lucky with that one.
You did.
Um,
That graphic saved
said,
your
yep. During the event, they'll announce the specs like CPU and GPU speed in the event talking about it. That was a no. They didn't do
No.
that. They didn't honor Iwata in some way. Nintendo did not show off at least 45 games for the Switch, like you said.
Very disappointed.
Um,
That wasn't true.
we'll see more of the new
The
Sonic
Wii
game,
U
and we
had like
saw like
30
a
plus launch games, so it's really
Yep.
that upsets me. Anyways,
well, I said we'll see more of the new Sonic game, and we saw like a glimmer of more new stuff for the
yeah,
Sonic game in that sizzle reel, but it still counted.
okay.
And then you said that they're not going to talk about
What,
VR,
what
and
was
you
the
got that
Sonic
right.
game during the conference or after?
Yeah, it was during the sizzle reel at the
Oh,
very
at the
end.
very end. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. And so we saw a little bit more about, like, we saw some gameplay of him running. That wasn't Sonic Mania. It was the full 3D Sonic.
Okay.
Um,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
the
you said they're not
Sonic
going to talk about
whatever 2017
Project. Yeah. Not going to talk about VR. They didn't, so you got that correct. And then we stopped because they didn't honor Kirby's 20th birthday, so we didn't see a new Kirby game. The system docked will not run at least 1 teraflops, which we didn't even hear about
Yep.
anyways, for specs. If I had just been a little bit like less specific on this, I said Nintendo will announce a remastered version of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that's a no because they announced Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And then you said whatever game Retro Studios is working on will be shown / announced, and that's a no. So we found ourselves in a tie because we both got 3 right, and then the rest of them wrong. So we were 3 for 8.
Well,
Um, so
that's almost 50%.
what I d- yeah. So what I did was I took 3 possible punishments from you, and then I put 3 of mine in, and I'm gonna put it in a randomizer, and it's gonna pick one, and we're both gonna have to do a punishment. And these are relatively easy things to do. Some might hurt more than others, but it's random, so we don't know what we're
I
gonna get.
feel
You
like
might
I
get
should
one of
get a
your own.
mulligan. I talked to you about this
Hey, it's
before. I'll have to tell people he still hasn't served his punishment from the last bet.
I know, but these are a lot easier to do.
I thought the
And
last one was easy. If I had lost, I would have had no problem. I
Hey,
would have been out like the next day.
I am not confident in my singing
You don't have to
ability,
be
Nate.
confident.
I
The whole point is it's not supposed to be good.
I know, but I'm a perfectionist. Anyways, so do you want to go first, or do you want me to go
It
first
doesn't
for
matter. Isn't
picking
it
one?
all on your end, anyways?
Yeah. Well, I'll pick for me first. So let's pick one.
Yeah, I don't
All
even know
right.
what the
Oh
punishments are for
no.
me.
Okay, so here's the different punishments that I had. An editorial on why your least liked Zelda game is truly great. It's from
Yep.
you. Recite a poem about how the other person is
I gotta
the
write
biggest
down
Zelda fan in the universe via Facebook live stream. Live stream a game you hate for 30 minutes in dead silence, only being able to communicate to the crowd with facial expressions. Then mine were do a video review on why the CDI games are the epitome of Zelda games. Write a fanfic about 2 members of the site to be posted on the site, and then write an editorial about Link, but constantly refer to him as Zelda. So those are the possible random
Oh God.
choices that we
I'm
have.
gonna end up getting the last one. I just know it.
All right.
Oh man.
Okay.
As
I
if
accidentally deleted
people
all
at
of
the
that,
site don't
but I
hate
copied
me
and
enough.
pasted it. Okay. So let's pick one. Oh no. Okay, so for me, I have to do a video review on why the CDI games are the epitome of Zelda games. So that's mine.
Okay.
Um, don't even know how I'm
I don't
gonna
know
justify
how.
that to myself.
See, I could come up with justifications. It's the footage.
It's gonna be a
The
highly,
footage part.
it's gonna be a highly sarcastic game.
Oh boy.
So we'll see. I'll probably
Yeah.
just ROM it and
Yeah. Good luck.
record it.
He just admitted to doing
So
something
then-
illegal in recording, by the way. Anyways.
Oh, you were right. So you have to write an editorial about Link, but constantly refer to him as Zelda.
No.
That's what you've got to do.
Well, the nice thing is you didn't mention it had to be a serious article.
No. Yeah, like I don't have to do a serious review on why the CDI games are the epitome.
I already know the answer because I'm the editor in chief. I was gonna say do daily debates count, but they're not articles.
They're not
No, they're
editorials.
It means I have to have something that has. All I have is serious ideas in my head. I come up with, or I just take a serious idea and I fumble the name the whole time. Oh my
Yep.
god.
So these are pretty easy to
Why
do.
couldn't I
I'll
get one of my easy
probably
ones?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Heck, I'd rather get the
But
punishment from last time. Oh.
do you really want it? You can take it.
No, that wasn't one of the punishments this time.
You're right. So you have to
Because
write
why
another
should
story
I
about
have to
Link.
do the punishment that you're supposed to do?
It's a Christian thing. It's a sacrifice for your brother.
Oh my gosh. Am I allowed to explain in the editorial?
No, because I'm not allowed to explain in the video. You just have to write an editorial about Link, but always refer to Link as Zelda. And I have to justify the CDI games as being the best version
It's
of
gonna
the
be
Zelda
so
games.
hard. I'm gonna be
And
confusing
upload
people
that to our
because
YouTube.
in the title, when I'm trying to say Link, I gotta say Zelda. So like they're just gonna assume that I'm talking about Zelda, and oh, it's gonna be so bad. Like basically,
You can
I'm
just
gonna have
write
to write
Zelda's.
the article like serious or satire or whatever about Link, and then afterwards go back and replace all the Link with Zelda. It's the only way I can do it.
Or you can just title it Zelda's a pretty cool guy and
Oh
then
my
just talk
God.
about him.
No. It's gonna end up being something serious too. It's gonna end up being like why this is the best version of Zelda. Why the version of Zelda in Breath of the Wild is the best version, and people are gonna be like all excited because they're gonna think I'm actually talking about Princess Zelda, and I'm actually talking about Link, and they're gonna get confused. This is.
You should just use pictures, like in an editorial, like have the pictures on the side of
It's
Link.
gonna. What's gonna end up
but
happening
talk-
is like I'm gonna be putting like images in there, but I'm gonna feel like because I'm replacing everything, I need to make it like I can't say anything. So like find a way to cleanly Photoshop Zelda's face onto Link.
Or the opposite,
right, the
Photoshop Link's
opposite.
face onto Zelda.
I just this is all right. Let me write. At least I'm gonna complete my bed.
Hey, I'm gonna complete this
Write
one.
an editorial about Link, where I replace Link with Zelda. All right. Got it. This is gonna be bad. Oh well, whatever. In terms of like punishments, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's embarrassing for me as a writer, but it's okay. Hopefully, everyone knows that we're listening to this podcast. That's not true. It's gonna hit social media. It's gonna have like 500,000 views, and everyone's gonna think I'm the worst. Oh god. Oh well. Oh well. I'm the one that was willing to dress up like Tingle and sing a song. So.
Yeah.
Which I was
I'll
so
just
happy
chalk
when
that
I
up
won
to-
that bet, and that's what I'm saying. Don't I have a mulligan?
No, that was back when you were in charge.
Yeah,
I make the
so
rules now.
the only other betting special we've done, and
I know.
it almost feels like my excitement over that win was worthless because there was no punishment served. Like, here's the deal though. See, back when I ran it, you didn't serve the punishment. So what happens if I don't serve the punishment?
And I kick you off the show. No, I'm
Well,
just kidding.
You're-
My plan is
You're gonna kick me off the show. I mean, I guess you could. I can't stop you.
to probably.
We're
I'll
relying on the
figure
honor
out
system
some
here.
way.
This is gonna happen.
I know. I'll figure out some way to incorporate Tingle and that song into what I do for the CDI review.
There's no tingle. Okay.
I'll dress up in some way, shape, or form as Tingle for the CDI review.
All right. It is what it is.
I will
is what
incorporate it.
I will do what I need to do. I will take on the hate. Bring it on. Hopefully, in the future, when people email me and they're like, "Dude, you're an idiot," I'll be like, "Hey, look, this isn't the editorial, so I can actually tell you it was a bet." I just can't mention that in the editorial. But oh boy, this will be fun. This will be fun. I can't wait. I haven't been hated on hardcore in so long. Like I have controversial opinions, but a lot of people see some logic behind some of them. There's no logic behind this. There's a guy who's been running Zelda sites for 18 years, editor-in-chief of the #1 Zelda news site, and he doesn't know that Link is not Zelda. Or Zelda's not Link, whichever way you want to look at it. This will be fun.
Well, that's the end of that now.
Are we at the end of the podcast now?
Yeah, we're at an hour and
Well,
30.
not too bad.
So, you want to talk about something else? How's life,
What?
Nate? How's
Oh,
life?
not good. My kids are sick, and all I've been doing is taking care of them. My other job, I had to call in the last couple of days because I had to take care of my kids. Hasn't been exciting on my front. Still don't have all the news covered from the Fire Emblem Direct at. Well, all the from the news from the Direct,
Oh,
the
Nintendo
Fallout
Pro.
news after, like they released extra screenshots.
Hmm.
The good news for like, the mobile version of the game is it's not Android exclusive. It's good.
At
No,
launch.
at launch
Yeah.
it's also going to be on iOS.
Yeah. Originally when
It was
for
weird.
some
In
reason
the
they
Direct,
announced
they
it.
only mentioned Android, and then after Nintendo's like, oh, it'll be on iOS too, same day.
Yeah, they were like coming to Android February 2nd and coming soon to
Yeah,
iOS.
and
It's
then
like,
Nintendo of America after was like, yeah, it's coming to iOS same day. Like,
yeah.
what? It's
Okay.
almost like they recorded it before, like they knew that was going to be the case, and then just decided, oh, we're not even going to change
Yeah.
that. Just leave it in there. Anyways,
Yeah.
man, sorry, I'm staring at this article on the Australian Press Start site about the smartphone matchmaking and voice chat stuff, and it's just upsetting me. Like I'm looking at this image of Mario Kart, and then what's clearly a photoshopped image onto a phone about like what the matchmaking system could be like, and it's just pissing me off.
Yeah, I saw that
Like
earlier.
it's clearly Photoshop, but it's pissing me off. God, Nintendo.
All right.
So maybe this is what we should do. Because I feel like the last, outside of talking about Breath of the Wild, the last hour of this podcast has basically been us shitting all over Nintendo and all over the Switch. We did have like a thing in there where we listed off a bunch of games. We didn't actually talk about if any of that's good.
Hmm.
So, because I mean, again, even if we did, I was going to argue how it's really not that great because you're just listening to a bunch of indie games and every platform has that. So like, where's the AAA games? 1-2 Switch, Splatoon, Xenoblade 2. Like, yeah, they have good games. A lot of them are niche. There's no big hitters besides Mario and Zelda. Anyways, which is funny because the game I'm actually most excited for besides Zelda is actually Snipper Clips, which isn't an indie game per se. It's developed by Nintendo, but it's basically an indie game. That's the way I would class. It's weird. You can't classify it as an indie game because it's made by Nintendo, but it feels like it's an indie game. A brilliant one. So, anyways, I feel like so we both pre-ordered the Switch, right?
Hmm.
We both obviously pre-ordered Zelda. You apparently didn't get anything cool. I got the special edition.
I pre-ordered Zelda, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and Mario
I
Kart 8.
pre-ordered just Zelda because it's $100 for the special
Mm.
edition.
Yeah,
And
that's
now
what you
I'm
need.
realizing that I'm probably going with the Pro Controller and it's 70. And if I do get 1-2 Switch, which I might not get at launch, I don't know yet. I'm trying to get Nintendo to send me a review copy for Nintendo Prime. Because and the weird thing is, I'm asking Nintendo to send me a review copy because I'm not convinced it's worth $50. But I could get it and be like, oh yeah, I would have paid $50 for this. It's just the way it is. The way we look, it's got 20 games. You haven't seen all of them. Maybe it ends up being worth the money. But if I get 1-2 Switch, you have to have a second set of Joy Cons. Oh, I'm sorry, the arms. You need a second set of Joy Cons.
Hmm.
And everyone's saying the arms is awesome. What they're forgetting is that to buy arms, it's a $140 investment. Because you gotta
Yeah,
buy. That's the
'cause you
game
have
that
to-
requires the extra Joy Cons.
Yep.
Anyways, so it's hard to say this, but obviously Nintendo is still getting a lot of stuff wrong so far with the Switch.
Hmm.
What are they getting right that makes you think it's worth picking up day one? Because it's always controversial picking up day one. And there's going to be Zelda, and we're both Zelda fans, so like ultimately that might be why we're getting it day one. But what made
Mhm.
you really want to get the Switch? Like, what's the good aspects of the Switch that are like, okay, it was worth spending my $300 on this system, despite the fact that we know crappy online, and well, we don't know if online play is going to be crappy, but we know that how they're approaching it's crappy. And that my Nintendo really isn't that great, and there's nothing really making up for that.
Well, it's going to be different for everyone. We talked about this maybe 10 podcasts ago, whether or not you should pre-order the Switch and get it on day one.
And like now feels like a better
I think
time to talk about it 'cause now we know.
yeah, and I kind of still feel the same that if you don't feel strongly enough that the Switch is worth your pre-order yet, don't go get it. Um, don't stress out about there not being enough pre-orders. Like Nintendo's not going to run out of Switches. It's not going to be another Wii epidemic
People are
where they're going to
overreacting with
have
like, oh, it's sold out. I'm like, dude, they have 2 million units they're gonna have available in the first 3 weeks.
yeah,
That's like
like
what the
these are just
PlayStation 4 and Xbox One had the first month. So like, it's
yeah.
not.
The
It's
don't
normal.
worry about
It's
it.
normal for things to be sold out for day one.
Yeah.
That's not abnormal for a hardware launch.
And yeah, this is just day one. These are just for pre-orders. So don't worry about it. The the thing I'd say is that if you're not sold on it, like if you look at it and you're like, well, okay, uh, Breath of the Wild, like that looks like a great game, but I've already got a Wii U. I don't really see the need for a Switch. Then don't buy a Switch. Um, don't 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 get it just because you are told to or someone's telling you you need to buy it. Like it's a $300 investment. And as a college student that's getting married in 6 months, money isn't exactly a free thing that just falls out
Yes,
of
it
the
is.
sky. No, well, maybe for Nate it
No,
is. For me,
no,
it's
it's
not.
not. It's not free. It's
Um,
called student loans, and then you
yeah.
have to pay that back with interest.
Yep. So, I am going to get it for a few different reasons. Obviously, because of Breath of the Wild, like I'm super excited for that game. Um, Super Mario Odyssey kind of sold me on it too because it looks really good. Still holding out like the Hyrule Warriors. Call it that for the rest of its duration. The Fire Emblem Warriors game, it just excites me. I love Fire Emblem. I love the Warriors game for the in Zelda. I'm not a fan of Dynasty Warriors. Um, but I guess one of the biggest things, uh, and this is a really weird reason, is that it's a Nintendo console that I want that my fiance also wants.
But why?
Because there she's
Why?
what? Well, she's always wanted to play Skyrim. And I don't have a
Well,
PS4 and I
Skyrim's
don't
not
have an
out for a
Xbox
while though.
One. No, I know. I know. But I don't have a PS4. I don't have an Xbox One, and I'm probably not gonna be able to afford one. Like I have to pick one console.
Well, you can if you can spend 300
And
bucks, you can afford one of those other ones.
yeah, no, I know, but I have to pick one or the other. Like I can't just be like, okay, well I'll get the PS4 and I'll get the Switch. It's like I have to decide: do I want a Nintendo console or do I want a Sony console? So I'm going with a Nintendo console, and I have it on my computer, but she's not really a PC gamer, so I'm hoping that she'll enjoy that on there. Maybe she'll play some other games on there. It's just something that I can enjoy with her, um, and with Mario Kart and all those other things. Um, and it's more along the lines of something for both of us as something for just me. Uh, in terms of why I pre-ordered it though, like I wanted to get it day one. I wanted to get Breath of the Wild day one. I wanted to play it. I wanted to be able to experience it, and be spoiler free for the first day,
Well, here's my
as
question
much
to
as I
you,
can be.
and I know I hate swinging
Hmm.
this to the negative, because we're trying to be positive. Is
Yep.
so I'm hearing a lot of talk. Like she wants to play Skyrim and some other games, whatever. That maybe aren't on other systems, but it is what it is. You want to get the Nintendo system, and it just happens to have that game. So cool. Um,
Hmm.
but like, why do you want the Nintendo? Do you own a Wii U for starters? Okay,
Yes.
because that's a big. If you didn't own a Wii U, that's totally different. Because obviously, if you want Breath of the Wild, you're gonna spend the extra $100 and get the new system to play it on.
Yeah.
If you don't own a
So
Wii
why
U.
do I want to switch if I have
Yeah,
if I
because like you
have
can
a
play
Wii
Breath of
U?
the Wild on that already, so you don't have to spend an extra $300.
Yeah.
You already have Mario Kart, and it's gonna be free online. You already
Yep.
have Splatoon,
Well,
free online.
we assume that
Well,
the
yeah,
online's
you know,
gonna stay
it's
around.
under assumption to keep the online going, but it's one of those that why day one? Like you could just wait, like yeah, maybe you can only buy an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 instead, and get all those games that maybe you don't get to play and she doesn't get to play. But you could also look at it as well. If I wait a couple of years, maybe I can afford the Switch then when it has other games.
Well, I mean, I think it's different for you and me also because we're working at Zelda Informer. We're covering these things.
Well, what's different?
And
Because you can play Breath of the Wild without a Switch. So like,
no, I know, but for the Switch, I just the like you said, the conference really wasn't that exciting. It wasn't necessarily selling me on the console as much. There were a lot of things that are like, oh,
mhm.
that's cool, that's cool. Um, but overall, what it does and How it works is kind of what's the most exciting to me. And I guess I'm with Darren. Darren talks about this a lot, is being able to play a console Zelda game on the go. Um, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest selling points of this console is that you can take your games on the go. Like if you want to play Skyrim on the go, you can go do that. If you want to play uh, Zelda on the go, if you want to play a full
Sure.
Mario console game on the go. I think that's one of the biggest selling points for the console, but also all the technology and like I keep going back to the HD Rumble in my head. I think that's such a cool
Yeah, I don't
thing
know how
for
outside
the
of games
haptic
like 1-2
feedback.
Switch it's gonna matter. That's what I'm like.
Well, it's a rumor. It's
It's
rumored for
rumored
Breath of
it's
the
for Breath
Wild
of the
right
Wild.
now.
I don't like people who played it. Like somebody's like, oh, it has HD Rumble. Well, like other media people said, well, if that's HD Rumble, it's nothing.
Well, I imagine that if it has HD Rumble, it's going to be like, okay, well, you swing your sword and you hit it again. It's not going to be motion controls, but you're going to swing your sword and it's going to hit against
Sure,
the
but
shield and
like
you'll feel that
yeah, but like
feedback.
normal Rumble can do that. When I think of the HD
Yeah, I
Rumble, I
know.
think of things like what did you talk about? Pouring water in a glass, you could feel the water coming into the glass. So like I feel like okay, if you're gonna translate that to a game, you're in Breath of the Wild, you dive into the water, you should feel the water running through your hands.
Yeah. So like I just imagine stuff like that.
Like no
There's
one
there's a
said
lot
that
of
happens,
cool
so I
features in
don't
it.
think that
No, I know,
like
but
I think what I think that rumor for HD Rumble is probably one untrue, and two is just confused because oh HD Rumble, well yeah it rumbled so it has HD Rumble. Well, there's a difference. The HD Rumble
well, I think
is significantly different than just it just has Rumble in it. Like okay, like every game has Rumble.
I know. There's just it's
Sorry, I know
there's a lot of
I'm not really
possibilities for it.
I'm not trying to rag on you.
I I, I know. Well,
It's just
like I
it
said,
felt
I'm
like you kind of presented some weak argument. Like it almost felt like everything you said is a reason not to get the Switch right now and go get something else that has other games for cheaper, even.
yeah, but like you said, like I they talked about, there's different things that matter to me gaming. I'm a for all intents and purposes a spoiled PC gamer. So
Sure.
things like that pop in distance and processing speed
Yep.
matter to me.
Well, that makes sense as a
That's
PC
why
gamer,
I upgraded.
obviously.
That's why I upgraded from a basic 3DS, basic 3DS to a new 3DS. Um,
Better frame rate
and that's right. Yeah, better frame rate for Hyrule
and an
Warriors.
OS
Better
that actually
quick.
moves at an okay speed.
Yeah, better startup. Like those technical improvements are a big reason as well. Like if I'm going to play games uh, in this generation, I want them to run well and I want them to run efficiently. Because uh, I mean, not that they didn't on the Wii
hmm
U, but there was a lot to be desired in terms of the processing power for that
So,
thing.
what I
Um,
get is the basic breakdown of this. These are the things that sold you on it, and it's something that Nintendo, no matter how they present things, can't really screw it up unless the base functionality of the console doesn't work. Like if when you
yeah,
switched, it took like 15 minutes. Okay, well that's stupid. Um,
yeah,
but it's basically you're going to get this because you are a Nintendo fan and like Nintendo games. You
yes,
want those games to look the best and perform the best, and you could take those games on the go. And those are
hmm
three things that Nintendo isn't going to screw up because that's the premise of the
hopefully,
console. Like have
yeah,
good games and be able to take them anywhere. That you're
hmm
not going to screw that up. Like I know like you bring up HD Rumble, but again, it's one of those. It's an exciting prospect that we have no idea how it's going to apply to like
yeah.
anything but party games. Um, we can come up with
But
ideas ourselves. Like
we
I just
don't
came up
know
with
on
one for
that
Breath
yet.
of the Wild. Like if you can feel water pouring into a glass, why can't I feel water pouring through my hands when I jump into water? Um,
But again,
yeah,
we don't know.
we
Like we
don't
don't
know.
know
Neither one of us have
for
played a
any of that.
Switch. To clarify, we haven't been to any press events or any public events. I'm sure maybe someday before it launches, one of us will get a hand on it.
Trying to get to one.
Like if they put up demo units somewhere, like we'll try to go
Hmm.
if it's within a reasonable distance. Because I live in the middle of Wisconsin, so I mean, I'm willing to drive a few hours if I need to. Like that's just what you have to do in Wisconsin to go anywhere.
Hmm.
So that doesn't bother me. It's just there hasn't been anything going on in Wisconsin. Like I was wishing there. Ideally, something would happen in Minneapolis. It's an hour and a half drive. We go over to Minneapolis all the time, but
Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from PAX South because
yeah,
I submitted an
yeah.
application to
See,
go.
and you have
Um,
closer to. See, we don't have anything like that here.
yeah. Well, and if if I do get accepted, they have the Switch demo at
Yeah.
PAX South, so I'll mess around with it
But
there.
yeah, basically that's the premise I
Um,
get. They have Nintendo games that are gonna perform the best that you've seen and look the best that you've seen, and it's gonna be portable. And there's some cool stuff on top of that, but like those are the three things that are undeniable, and make you want to have the system. Um,
yeah.
and it just so happens that you can additionally justify it because it has Skyrim, and that's something your
Yeah.
girlfriend is deeply interested in doing. So
Hmm.
that's cool. Like that. That's that. I think that's the way a lot of people like. If you're a day one buyer, you're a fan or you're a scalper. Um,
Yeah. And there are
oh yeah.
plenty of scalpers. Like they're going for $4,000 online. The people are scalping the Master
Well,
Edition
the
of Zelda,
Master
which
Edition, I can now that
pisses
I
me off.
know that it's extremely limited, I get it.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's still a dick
it is a
move.
dick
Like,
move, but that's
oh,
just
I know somebody
we
wants
live in a
this,
free
so I'm gonna
economy.
pre-order
Welcome to the
three.
United States. You don't like this? There's other countries
I
that
know,
don't
I
allow it. So, like seriously, like it's it's not only in America, but America is like promotes heavily. Like this is how the economy works. You can
I'm
resell
just
what you own.
surprised
Um,
they didn't do like a
you can
limit
resell
pre-order
what
for
you own,
these.
but you can't put footage of it on YouTube. Uh,
Like they didn't limit like you can only or pre-order
sure.
one of these on your like they couldn't control that across like
Yeah.
Amazon and GameStop and like that. But that to the same point, like people could go into GameStop and pre-order like 3 or 4 special editions for Zelda
Yeah.
and walk out with
So
those.
for me,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some obvious why I have a Switch pre-ordered. Um, not just I'm editor in chief of Zelda Informer, so like I need to play both versions of the game, which also means I don't own a Wii U right now, which means I also have to buy a Wii U coming up here. Um, hoping to get it for under 200. Been kind of scalping around a little bit, trying to see if I can find Craigslist listing for one for cheap. Because I don't even care if it's the white version. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm literally just using it so I can play Breath of the Wild on it, which it really sucks because I'm planning to do like a comparison video, and just to think I'm gonna have to try to beat this game twice, very quickly, scares me. Or like try to play like the exact same sections of the game very quickly. Especially
Hmm.
with dynamic weather and changing day and night. It's gonna be crazy. But I'm gonna try. But so there's all the work related reasons. I also run NintendoPrime.net, which means things like 1-2 Switch are something I almost feel like I have to have. So like there's a lot of reasons that I feel like I need the system, and those are the exact same reasons that I tried to reach out to my contact I made at E3 to be like, look, this is my job. Can I get a review unit? Because then that makes life easy for me. But I've never had a review unit in my life, like hardware. So I don't think that's going to happen. That's why I have it pre-ordered. In terms of my job, I just have to have it for my job. This is what I'm paid to do. I got to do it. However, I think I would have pre-ordered the Switch anyways, even if this wasn't my job. One, I don't own a Wii U right now, so that's the most obvious thing. Is I don't own a Wii U and I want to play Breath of the Wild. But the thing is, I used to own a Wii U, and I think if I used to own a Wii U and this wasn't my job, I might have kept it. It was a financial thing. I don't know. It's really weird because GameStop really tempts Wii U owners to get rid of their Wii U. You could have traded in your Wii U for $120 plus 75 additional to pre-order. You could basically have $200 paid off on your system right off the bat by just giving them your Wii U, and that's really enticing. I don't know how long they're going to keep that going. I hope they keep it going past launch since they're sold out. But they probably won't because by then the Wii U value will be even less. But whatever, it is what it is. So I think I still would have pre-ordered regardless of my job. Well, one, obviously, I'm a Nintendo fan. I don't run Nintendo sites and all this stuff because I hate Nintendo. So like I want to play their latest games. Two, I do own an Xbox One. So I already have a third-party system. And I say third-party system because the only reason I really have the system is to play third-party games. So I don't look to the Switch as something that I need third-party games on. I do think third-party games are important. As I said, I literally own a system to play third-party games, so like they are important. And in an ideal world, I would get all the games I want third-party wise on the Switch, and I'd be able to get rid of my Xbox One, which I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't get rid of anyways because now it's the Xbox One S. So I'd probably keep it just for the 4K Blu-ray player. But that's whatever. I wouldn't be using it for gaming. Is kind of my point. Like I could just buy a bunch of Switch docks and just use it on any TV in the house.
Mhm.
Granted, $90 a pop, ridiculous. I'm hoping a third-party dock comes out that is cheaper.
Mad
Yeah, I don't even
Cats.
care as long as it literally just HDMI pass through, even if it has no extra USB things. I don't care. Come out with one Mad Cats or any of the zillions of peripheral partners they have, and have like a $20 one, so I can not have to buy the expensive one for all my TVs. Anyways, so for me, it's kind of twofold. One, I don't own a Wii U, so I want to play Zelda that bad. Two, I've always believed that you do not buy a system because as upset as I am at the lack of multimedia features and everything else, the online reality is you buy a system to play games. That's why we
Mhm.
buy video game consoles. Why do we have phones? Yes, it's cool to have all the online functionality, and maybe we use it for Facebook and stuff more than we use it for anything else. But the bottom line is we have the phone so we can text and call people. It's a way of communication. So that's why we end up getting phones. Now, why people get $1,000 phones like I do is for all the extra stuff. But even if I didn't have that, I would have a cell phone. If I didn't have a smartphone,
Mhm.
I'd still have a cell phone because there's basic functionality I need from a phone. And it also happens to be cheaper than having a house phone. I don't know how that stuff got expensive. Why house phones are expensive beats the hell out of me. You figure it should be even cheaper to, kind of encourage people to have house phones.
It's because they want you to bundle
Like,
everything.
anyways, at least you can still call 911 if you plug a phone into a hard line. But it's because of the games, right? For me, Breath of the Wild
Mhm.
is good enough for me to justify a purchase. If they never release another game on Switch, Breath of the Wild is good enough for me. And it feels weird saying that because it's a port. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It is a port of a Wii U game that has a few minor improvements, which they're improvements you and I care about. We're PC gamers. So we care about these improvements, but at the grand scheme, they're minor improvements. To slightly better resolution, slightly better draw distance, slightly better this, slightly better that. That's great, but it's minor stuff that ultimately is it worth a $300 upgrade for? Like, would I spend $300 and upgrade my graphics card to say a 1080 from a 1070?
Mhm.
For a minor bump in performance? No, I would not. I simply would not do that. It'd have to be a significant bump. So it's weird for me to say that, but I think it's because of what you mentioned before, the portability factor. The idea that it's convenient for me. I'm in a situation right now. My big 4K 65-inch TV is broken. I'm trying to get it fixed. Trying to get it, like, not just fixed. Like, I want it covered by warranty, obviously. Because we
Mhm.
spent $1,500 on the TV like a year ago. We really want to get this thing fixed up because it's not our fault that it broke. Um, it is what it is. So I look at it right now, especially at this in my life, that means there are 3 working TVs in my house, which I have a house, so I don't view it as abnormal. When I was in an apartment, we only had 2 TVs, and only one of them was hooked up to cable. So we have the TV in the living room, which my kids are constantly using, or my girlfriend's constantly using. We have a little dinky TV that is in the kitchen, which I basically throw. It's basically for me when there's sports games on and I'm cooking. I put the game on in the background, or it's football or whatever, because I'm the only one who cooks in the house. So 3 meals a day, it's all me. Um, and then we have a TV in our bedroom, which isn't hooked up. Well, it can be hooked up to cable. It's not right now, but it's a Roku TV, so we have like Netflix and yada 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 on it. So that's where we catch up on our shows and watch movies before we go to bed. And this, you'll notice in that configuration, none of those TVs are available to me to play video games on. The TV I play video games on is the 65-inch in the basement that's broken. So the Switch right now at this time of my life is coming at a point where I don't know if my TV is going to be fixed in 2 months. but I want to play Breath of the Wild, and I don't want to have to fight for screen time to do it. I don't want to have to
Mhm.
fight with my girlfriend taking a nap in the room. I don't want to have to fight with my kids for the TV, and I don't want to have to force myself to play on this little dinky 720 low DPI crappy screen that's got a little fade in the background in the bottom right corner in my kitchen. Because that's what I would have to do ultimately, and I don't want to have to do that. So, like the Wii U at the time when it came out, when we only had one TV in the house, and I didn't want to fight for screen time, so the Wii U made sense to me. I'm kind of like that with the Switch, where now I get what the Wii U was giving me back then, but I get it with no tether. Like, I don't have to be in the same room as the dock. I get it with, yeah, it's the lowest HD resolution, but it is still HD. I get it without the flicker that I have going on in the bottom right corner on my TV in my kitchen. And I get it with a high DPI screen that's probably a better quality than every TV in my house, but the big 50 inch in the
Mhm.
50 inch in the living room and the 65 inch in the basement. So like my two big TVs, yeah, maybe those are ultimately better, but those are also one's broken and the other one I got to fight to use. So like I'm in a situation where I be damned, I need Breath of the Wild, and I am going to get a Switch to do it because it's just that much like the playing experience on the screen that I'm gonna have to play it on is that much better than the Wii U. Like it's a sub HD screen I would be playing it on with washed out colors and low DPI. No thanks. And that's the reality for me. If the Wii U screen was in HD, that's a whole other conversation. But it's not. So ultimately, it's the portability factor that I think I'm going to end up using the most.
Mhm.
I'm excited about HD Rumble. I'm excited about all the different ways you can use Joy Cons. How I don't have to buy anything extra, and I can play Mario Kart with my girlfriend. We'll probably end up getting the wheels to do that, so it's a little less awkward with the buttons. But either way, it's just I want a portable home console experience that isn't tethered and is in HD, and that's what the Switch gives me. Is it worth a $300 price point? I would have liked to see it for 250, 300 with a packing game. Nintendo apparently couldn't
Mhm.
make a dock that wasn't $90 for some reason.
For
Like I
some
don't know
reason.
why they
Yeah.
can't make that thing under 50 and make it possible to knock the prices, or at least make it possible at 300 to have a packing game, or have the Joy-Con grip thing that charges. Like I didn't know about the Joy-Con grip thing not charging until after I pre-ordered, and that pisses me off because now my local GameStop has all the Joy-Con grip things sold out. So now I have to try to like fight for one online. That doesn't make me happy.
Mhm.
But reality is, Breath of the Wild on an HD screen is what I want, and unfortunately, because of my TV situation, the Wii U cannot guarantee me that day one. At least guarantee it when I have time to play. So that's my reality.
Oh,
That's what I live in. And yes, I have computer monitors, and I know I can hook up to that, and wear headphones, yada 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 yada. I don't want to have to be in my freaking office all the time, man. We're talking about a Breath of the Wild game that's gonna be it could be 300 plus hours. I'm not
Mhm.
doing that in my office, away from my family. I want my kids to watch me play. I want them to see how fun Zelda is. Hopefully, how fun it is. I haven't played since E3, so maybe it sucks now. That's really the gist of it. It's literally one reason in one game why I have Switch pre-ordered and why I would have it pre-ordered anyways. Um, but I'm crazy like that. I mean, I also
Also,
know there's a whole bunch of games coming that I'm excited for and that I want. Splatoon 2, I already mentioned before, Snipper Clips. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I probably won't get because I don't think I have time this year to play two massive open world games. Um, but, maybe I'll get that in the future. I was about to say in the future when the price drops. It's not dropping. So, in the future.
so also, just because you got on to me for
I
this
know.
last time. Last time when I said that something about
Yep.
Skyrim coming out in
Yep.
fall, you and Daniel and everyone else on the ZI React said it was a release game and got on my case for it. But it's not a
No,
release game. It's not a launch game.
it's not.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
didn't know
saying
that
that
at the time,
because
to be fair.
you were like it's at the end of the trailer. And I was like, no, it's not. But I guess maybe I'm the stupid one. But everybody else was the stupid
Yeah,
one.
Also, another mistake from ZI Reacts. I mentioned something like the Rito or whatever. They are not in the
Yeah.
game, at least that we know of. So, and highly likely not, since Hyrule Destroyer confirmed that they're descendants of the Zoras and there's Zoras in the game.
Yep.
So that was a mistake on my part as well. So they're mistakes around the table.
Yep.
Just not from you.
I'm
Yeah.
perfect.
Alfred's perfect in every way. Anyways, I think that'll do it for the Zelda Informer podcast. Thanks for tuning in. About a couple hours, but again, it's kind of nice to have a couple-hour one because we skipped a week basically. So it's kind of two podcasts in one.
ZI Reacts, now you get this.
This will be out on time.
But
I promise. I'm editing this week, so first time I've edited the ZI podcast in a while, but it'll be fun. I look forward to it.
I'm gonna be gone
At least
doing
I
other
don't have
stuff.
to transfer my video.
Yeah.
All right,
That'll
we'll
be
catch
fun.
you guys next week.
Either way, it's gonna. Yep.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.